just walk right out the door. Don't wanna do this anymore. Now I'm lost without you. You drive me crazy out my mind. How'd you do this every time? Now I'm lost without you. Used to be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep, now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should leave and by the time it's done I'll be gone.
No, we're back. First thing you should do, ladies and gentlemen, when you're starting a broadcast is make sure that your audio software hasn't crashed, because that would be bad. Whoops. Kicking the dust off, brushing up, bringing out those gloves one more time here in 2020. ESDA obviously really trying to focus their efforts on the next upcoming Forza Motorsport title, but we're going back one more time with a little bit of dinero on the line as well. First place going to be getting 100 crisp US dollars, like 40,000 Canadian dollars, I heard. Moving ahead here, really exciting day today again at Road Atlanta. I know me and you have a personal attachment to this track. This track, obviously, one of not obviously, but one of the favorites of drivers as well. You get a little bit of everything when it comes to drifting in this course, where you have that big entry, the technical section of the horseshoe, the big uphill power zone. I think out of American and North American drifting, this track kind of does it all. And I'm really excited to see these guys go out here as we're getting this first lobby ready.
Yeah, but I also realized that I was not speaking to the broadcast for a whole minute as my microphone was muted. Yeah, this is a very rough start. But regardless, here is your bracket for lobby number 1. KNC Giraffe is your top-seeded driver in lobby number 1. He'll be getting a bye run as a result, as the 32nd seed could not make it. UNK Froze facing CI Chandler, Toyo Osama versus VNM Nima, and Toyo Big Pete versus Bravade Brady. He's a well-known name in the drift scene already. He's going to be facing Toyo Big Pete. Always representing the Hot Boys. But again, Keenan, as I said before like the stream couldn't hear me, obviously. It's been a minute since the ESDA has been drifting. It's been a solid almost, 3/4 of a year since the final earlier. So, we're back at it. We're ready to go. And we are all but seconds away then from getting this lobby set and ready to go. It looks like actually drivers are already starting to work their way around to the starting line 9. So we are just moments away, Keenan, to getting this thing underway finally. Yeah,
it's been, like you said, almost a year at this point since we ran our last official ESDA competition, which was the World Finals last year. Got a lot of big names here in this. This was open qualifying. The cutoff score, ladies and gentlemen, the lowest score for qualifying was an 80. So you had to score an 80 or above just to get in the show here today. As we've seen from past competitions with a big entry list such as this one, these qualifying scores at this point don't really mean anything. Obviously, it's going to be pretty important to look ahead and see, who qualified first versus who qualified 32nd. But once you start getting into that 5th to, 28th range, anybody's game. A lot of these battles are going to be very close. We have a new judging system here today. Which is not necessarily new. If anyone's watched D1 GP back in the early 2000s and the late the late 2000s, early 2010s rather, pretty similar. Where judges are giving out a score. I'm gonna make sure I bring up the information from the drivers meeting. But the judges are basically giving out scores of 10 total. So one judge, if it's even, it'll be a 5-5 or 6-4 or 7-3. Again, this is pretty similar to how D1 GP used to do it back in the day before the DOS system. So really excited to see how this plays out. Really gonna make every battle mean a whole lot more.
Yep, and right now you are seeing KNC Giraffe, your number 1 seed, coming up to take his bye run. This is his earned bye run for qualifying first. And, of course, our 32nd seed our substitute even then could not make it. So, yeah, this is just going to be a quick little bye run into top 16. He will face the winner of the next battle, which will be UNK Froze versus CI Chandler. Really loving to see a lot of the names in today's competition coming back out to return back in Forza Drift competition, because, you know, a lot of these guys have put their wheels away for a while. Some of them not nearly as active. You know, Forza, we're kind of in that weird null period between 7 and 8. Just around the corner is the next generation of this series. So really, at this point, we're just done waiting on Forza 8. But these guys still coming out, so having fun, paying some homage to what Forza 7 is and what it meant to a lot of people. And as you can see now, KNC Giraffe taking his bye run on screen.
KNC Giraffe, again, we're not a whole lot to talk about here. We're just looking to see if he drops a 0. Just has to get through the run. 1 tire, 2. Oh! 2 tires in the grass! Not sure what that's going to be judged, and we've never really dealt with this in ESDA competition before, where you have a driver with a major deduction or a 0 on their bye run. Giraffe's going to be kicking himself for that one. I had a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about with Giraffe, but I don't think we're going to be able to talk about that now. We're going to have to see if he is allowed to get away with that. Again, I'm not sure with the whole new judging system if all he had to do was get a run in.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see what happens. Looking at the ESDA chat now, waiting to see what goes on. But, you know, there was a bye. It would be a shame if that was the way that Giraffe, your #1 seed, has to bow out of competition, because we're not terribly sure. I've never seen before in top-level drift, air quotes, you know, somebody zeroing out a bye run. That is a first for me, Keenan.
Yeah, it's something that may have to consult the rulebook just to be 100% sure. Because, again, it's something that we've not really dealt with here. But we're going to continue on for the time being. UNK Froze versus CI Chandler. Something I want to talk about with Giraffe, and before we get into this really fast. We've seen a lot of drivers, you know, stay with what they know. Froze and UNK under new management now. Really opt, you know, that Ferrari M4 combo, very popular. Chandler is not that guy. He's always driving some weird stuff. He was driving a Vauxhall for forever, and now he's in the Honda Civic. You heard me right. The new Honda Civic Forza edition with that boxy body kit on it. Honestly, I don't hate it. I don't like the blue-red combo because he looks like Spider-Man, but that's just a personal preference. But the car itself, not too bad looking, as I'm pretty sure, still going over what just happened.
Yeah, it kind of does remind me of when they first brought the car out with Frederick Osbo. Everyone's like, wait, what the heck is this? This thing's gonna drift, and it took like a really long time to get used to seeing that body style in competition. But, you know, the more you looked at it, it's like, you know what? No, this belongs here. You know, Chandler, not known to run the very meta things often, as you were mentioning before, and this is certainly a first for me as well, Keenan. This is a very interesting choice, and a car that's typically front-wheel drive as well, so completely swapped. This is like a full-on drift build, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can do with his new Honda Civic Type R.
Yeah, front-wheel drive swaps, Ian, normally not that great in Forza 7. Just something about the physics engine and how you're switching the power from the front to the rear. The game doesn't like it, especially with these short wheelbase cars as well. But I'm looking at this, and with the wider stance and the Forza Edition kit that it has on it and the wider wheels, could be the difference maker. Either way, I think Crawford has, or Chandler, sorry, has something figured out in these chassis, because he was driving the, I believe it was the Vauxhall Astra. Yep. Last season, where he had something figured out in that car that nobody had figured out in anything, regardless of how meta, air quotes, anything was. We're still waiting on a call here. Judges looking over that run again. Gonna see if I can pull up the rulebook here really quickly and see if we can see anything in it.
Yeah, that's this is a very weird way to open up the exhibition, Keenan. Again, like this, I can never recall a time where something like this has ever happened before. This is a first and a half, needless to say. Yeah,
I think it's you know, it's something that I'm not really seeing in the rule book, unless it's by the number 0, which I hope it isn't, because there's 40 uses of that. You know, this is not something we usually deal with. Normally, it's not at this level. Or with, you know, it's not something you usually see in buy runs. A lot of times people with buy runs will be like very safe and staying in the middle of the track and Giraffe trying to get that good run there.
Looks like Dye's coming with the decision now, though. It's like
Yeah. I am seeing in the rule book that during the buy run, drivers must do a complete run. Incomplete runs will result in a DQ.
Oh.
But there was a new form of judging for qualifying for this round as well, where 2 tire drops is not necessarily a 0, if I recall correctly. So,
no,
keep that in mind.
ladies and gentlemen, officially in, KNC Giraffe has zeroed. KNC Giraffe has zeroed his buy run. Therefore, he will not be advancing in this competition. What a shame for KNC Giraffe. That is not how you want it. Coming in as seed 1, riding a high, gets it really saucy on a buy run, and just completely goes off the track into the keyhole. That is a shame.
I mean, rules are rules, Ian. It sucks, and it's Giraffe. I was very excited to see him drive that Mustang today. Normally known for his Audi driving, but he's been experimenting with different chassis in a couple different competitions recently. Especially today, when there's some cash on the line. I think maybe he played it safe for the Mustang, but it looks like Giraffe, every time he tries to step away from that Audi, it bites him. So might be taking a plane trip back to Germany here. He's not from Germany. Let's just get that clear. But I think his betrayal of allegiance to the Audi is starting to hurt him more than help him. So we got these cars on the line. Finally, first official battle of the day. UNK Froze in that M4, followed by Chandler in the, I almost said Mustang for some reason. Civic, not a bad entry from both these guys. Would like to see a little bit more aggressiveness, but I'm sure they're a little bit timid after what they just saw. Going up the hill, Froze opening a big gap, but sacrificing a lot of angle to do it. Chandler into the door of Froze. You're going to be seeing this a lot today through this keyhole area as we transition to head back to the downhill. That gap has really been closed a lot by Chandler as he attacks in Froze. Froze not looking too comfortable in that lead position, Ian, but Chandler as well in the follow. When he did have opportunities to attack, they also didn't look like they were filled with confidence either.
Yeah, just taking a look at the replay then, which is not to the correct sizing. I do apologize. I've never done this in 1080p before, and it looks like it's actually, there we go. Okay, so yeah, it looks like then, as you mentioned earlier, Froze really just not really coming to himself. He wasn't really at a lot of angle. He wasn't really, doing what you would expect up in the front. Just it wasn't quite to spec, but he still got it done. So end of the day, it's a completed run at least. A couple of tire drops, a couple of mistakes, but he was able to get it done. So there's that at least.
All right, second round here, second run. Chandler going to be in the lead position, and I've got a funny feeling that there is a lot of grip and speed in that car.
For sure. Again, I do apologize. This is not the final run, by the way. The UI is a little messed up right now.
All right. Second half of the first battle here. Big entry from Chandler. Nice and smooth up in the lead position in that Honda. Froze are going to have to close the gap a little bit. That thing almost silent in the lead position, doing a really good job on that outer zone by getting it, but not over-attacking. Chandler looking very, very, very comfortable in the lead right now. Good transition, big angle from that Honda Civic. As Froze just didn't quite, did have the push in that horseshoe. But that Civic looking really, really clean up in the lead position.
Yeah, that was definitely a much better showing of a lead run for Chandler there. As again, there is going to be a little bit of a scaling issue to start. We will fix it as soon as we can. Do apologize once again. But yeah, no, it was really good to see Chandler being a little more aggressive in their lead. Chandler, very stylish driver. You've seen him time and time again in all forms of drift. He can put down some really solid runs. He's no stranger to drifting. He's no stranger to Forza. And you're going to go ahead and see the replays then scaled correctly so you can see exactly what happened. But, it does look like Froze, earlier on in the run, he didn't quite have that angle going through turn 2 and turn 1. Kind of straightened out a little bit, got a little bit of a gap. Chandler falling back as a result. But, lead for lead, I'd say Chandler probably did a little better on the style department. A little more committed, I would like to say. But definitely you could say, in many places, a better chase for Froze. What he was working with here. So a relatively close battle here, Keeney, to kick it off. Remember, this is important because these two drivers are fighting for what is essentially a bye all the way into the Grade 8.
And as I'm going to explain really quickly here, we do have $250 USD on the line today. Anybody who finishes top 8 is in the money. So there's some cash on the line here with anybody in the top 8 getting $10. Our 4th place finisher getting 20, 3rd 40, 2nd 60 or 50, sorry, and 1st with the big old $100 grand prize. So just having to deliberate a little bit on this one. Looked pretty oh no, there it is. And with a 22-8, that is going to be a Chandler win over UNK Froze. Chandler, or he netting himself $10, man. I hope you got that PayPal email ready. Not a bad day for him. Looking really good at that car, actually. Very, very smooth leads. Is what I got from that. Maybe have to work a little bit on his chasing, but you know, as somebody who's been in competition, that first chase run is always your worst. You know, you always have the nerves going, and the farther you go in the competition, usually the better and better it gets. So looking forward to see what Chandler can do when he does get to that top 8 battle. But next we have Toyo. Oh boy. Toyo Vasayama? Wasn't that hard to pronounce. My brain just couldn't put vowels together there for a second. And VNM Nima. VNM representing Venom, or Nima representing Venom Drift with Vasayama, of course, running Team Toyo. No relation, as these guys are going to get these tires warmed up. Got RB S15 power versus another car that we haven't seen in a long time. Big old Chungus here of the Bentley Continental.
Oh, wow.
We've seen it before back in ESDA competition. Not sure if it was last year or the year before. Someone on Xenon was running it as a meme, but actually was doing very well in it. So don't count this chassis out. You know, with these big, heavier cars, you can run a ton of power and really get them to be very, very strong. So depending on how this car is set up and how it's tuned, we could be seeing some very, very fluid runs here as well. But, you know, S15, proven chassis, proven car as well.
Yeah, you've seen it before. Those heavier vehicles, you know, they have the horsepower, they have the grip if you can get the power down correctly with a good tune. Obviously not quite as nimble. It's going to be a very heavy vehicle. The rotundness is real for that Bentley Continental in the lead position to start off this battle. Run number 2 of head-to-head competition. We'll see what Osama, I can't even say it myself, up in lead position has with that new chassis. This is the first time I've seen it run. Here we go, the Nima in chase. Initiation back into turn number 1. Lots of angle. Oh, my goodness. Backwards into turn number 1 for your lead driver. Transitioning across the bumper in chase is Nima. Keeping it in the picture. S15 all over the Bentley Continental. Never thought I'd be saying that anytime soon in a drift competition, ladies and gentlemen. That is one hell of a lead. A little bit of a cooking onto the rear bumper. F15 getting a little too saucy in chase. Making a small mistake exiting the keyhole, but goodness me, Vasayama making some really, really good moves up there in that lead position. That Bentley is tuned well, Keenan.
You know what, Ian? It sounds really stereotypical when we say this, but that was almost a finals quality battle here in the top 32. Very, very good lead from Vasayama, as we expected in that big wheelbase, big heavy vehicle. Very nice and fluid, big angle as well. But let's not take anything away from Nima. Nima was right there the entire time, never lost that lead car, which is probably going to be the downside of running a big boat of a vehicle. Nima right there with him, nice and fluid. I never really lost him up until, you know, maybe that transition as we get ready for the second run here.
That was what Nima has done in their lead up in that lead position. Will they have the speed as well to go away? Maybe getting a little bit too wide in clip number 1. Still hits it decently, though, and trying to pull a little bit of a gap up the hill. Unfortunately, the tire drop not working into his benefit, going into the keyhole once again, dropping 2 tires all the way through outer zone number 2 in the keyhole. Mistakes left, right, and center for Nima, and in this judging system, that is going to come back to haunt him as Nima trying to make something of the rest of the run. The Bentley playing it safe throughout the entirety of the run, but that's all he had to do, Keenan, at that point, because Nima making a lot of mistakes, plenty of tire drops throughout that entire lead run.
Yeah, you know, almost like it was trying too hard to get away from that Bentley, knowing that would be one of their strengths. Going back to the first run a little bit, the only mistake I really saw from either of them was Vasayama dropped the tire, or Vasayama, sorry, I always expect there to be another A. That's why I'm getting confused. Dropped a tire on the exit, and Nima, I think, transitioned over the bumper of that Bentley, which prevented the transition. So I was like, we got to look at that going into our second run. But in the second run, unfortunately, Nima, with everything to play for, just maybe trying to get away a little bit too much from that Bentley, focusing too much on extending the gap, which anytime you saw that S15 on power, there was a gap being opened, but when you're dropping 2 tires in the grass, you can't put that power down. You can't make the best of that gap.
Yeah, very impressed with the lead run for Osama as well, up in that lead position. And it was kind of funny as this game has progressed, Keenan. Every time we see some backwards angle into turn 1, it's come to that point where we almost expect it at this point. These drivers have learned the nuances of Forza Drift, and they've been doing it so well now that like with this big angle kit as well and the heavier cars, and depending on how you tune it, almost anybody in the top level can throw backwards into 1 now. That is not something you could say a year or 2 ago. So, despite the game being on the older part of its life cycle, it's evolving.
Yeah, Ian, and at 23-7, Toyo Vasayama is going to be getting the win. Toyo Vasayama going to be moving on. Again, nothing for Nima to be disappointed about. That follow run, that chase run was one of the best we saw. I would say one of the best we saw all day. It was literally the second one that we saw all day. But it was a very, very strong chase run. Not really a lot to be disappointed about there as we move on into our next battle. TDR Brady, or Bafudidi. Fortnite kids using the V's in their name. I don't get it.
I feel it.
I'm so old. Versus Toyo Big Pete. Big Pete looking for a good finish as well. And Brady getting into ESDA by the skin of his teeth. I know he's been excited. He'll be talking to him all week. Been excited. He's ready. He's mentally prepared. I'm really excited to see what version of Brady we're going to see here today representing Team Drift Royals.
Yeah, Toyo Big Pete has been running a lot recently. We've seen a couple of those, we still called this the off-season for Forza Drift at this point. We're already halfway through a year, but it's just kind of weird without any big competitions running regularly. It's just this really weird period for Forza Drift. Big Pete been running every event he can. Brady, he's been improving left, right, and center for the last 3 years. It's been a joy watching him compete, and now he's here on the ESDA stage. We'll see what he can do in this exhibition.
Nissan versus Mazda. Chunky V6 versus the little Dorito boy. Pete versus Brady. Canada versus USA. Going into turn number 1 here at Road Atlanta. Pete in the lead. Brady, very aggressive entry right on the door of that GTR. Not afraid to mix it up. Put some red paint on the driver's side door of that GTR. Moving into the keyhole. Pete not getting all of that outer zone. Going to cause a little bit of contact from Brady in the chase position. Really good job from both these guys so far. Moving into the downhill. Pete, big angle, opening up a bit of a gap. Brady going to have to cut some angle to try to make up that distance. And Ian, 1 tire off for Pete as well. I was about to say Pete opening up an advantage on the second half of that course, but with that tire drop, got to imagine it's almost dead even.
Well, bear in mind as well, though, that the tire drop in the last corner, I believe, is allowed. I think they're getting in trouble with 2, so that might not be to Pete's detriment, but it's definitely not, what he would want through and through. But still, Big Pete, pretty solid lead. A couple of mistakes here and there. Brady keeping it in the picture out the entirety of it, and Big Pete definitely missing outer zone 2. That is an opportunity to jump for Brady's lead. We're going to have to see what he's got on the second half of this battle.
All right. Brady, like I said, representing Canada. As Big Pete. We got drivers from all over the world here today in the expedition. As we normally do.
Brady, you're going to blow that Dorito up, dude. Easy in the throttle pedal.
Oh, man. X-Revs. He stopped too. I think Judge is just going over making sure that we have played the replay. And they're probably doing a little bit of deliberation here as and there we go. Usually we get a little bit of a rev from that gate car, but not this time. Brady in the lead position. Big Pete in the chase.
Woo!
Brady, really, really good entry there. Oh, no. That's the... I'm going to talk about that in a second here, but that is obviously going to be 4 tires off. Brady, that is so unfortunate. Again,
hits the power button.
I think he just pulled the plug there. Sure did. That's that RX-7, it seems like, is a really, really grippy chassis. And you saw, Ian, if there is a replay for that, I don't know if you need one, but as soon as he got off the clutch and got back on power, the car just shot straight forward. Like, there wasn't like any understeer or any scrubbing from the front tires. The whole car just gripped up and shot straight forward, and unfortunately into the grass. Yeah,
that kind of tells me then that Brady is potentially running a little bit of a lighter chassis, like on the lighter side of the power to weight rules. Because you'll see it time and time again. Those lighter cars, they don't have all of that inertia behind them, all of that speed and momentum that comes from that downhill. A lot more times than that. When you start running out of momentum, those tires are going to grip up. It's very difficult to keep the thing at that much angle. He definitely had the right idea, but potentially in the wrong kind of tune to do that type of run, and I believe that's going to be a pretty straightforward decision here.
Unfortunately, Ian, I'm seeing in our Twitch chat that Brady had a technical issue. E-brake button got stuck.
Ah, no.
That is, it's almost like, you know what though? It's a part of it, and like we had this issue in other tournaments before with people's wheels disconnecting, or some sort of technical failure. It emulates almost real life where you can't predict a tire debeating or a tie rod snapping or anything to that. This has got to be one of the worst. Like on at least on my list of like unfortunate technical issues. How do you prepare for a e-brake button getting stuck?
Right.
Batteries is one thing, or making sure your wheels synced or plugged in properly is another thing. But how do you prepare for that as an issue? That just seems so wacky.
That's
and
tough.
out of the blue. Yeah, but got to imagine that's going to be Big Pete getting the win here, as Chandler going to have a buy run coming here whenever he feels up to it.
And this time I'm going to make sure to hit that start recording button because as I've literally just learned, anything can happen even in a buy run, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunate for KNC Giraffe, but as a result of that, this is going to be Chandler getting his buy run in top 16 all the way to grade 8 competition simply for winning one battle. That is not a bad way to start it off. Whenever he feels like moving, though.
Yeah, but as we saw, Ian, from his lead run there, Chandler's got a lot in that car. So I mean, who's to say what would have happened or wouldn't have happened? But I think he would have given Giraffe at least a run for his money. As we're seeing him warm his tires up for his buy run now. I guess he's in the mood now. He's got that. I think he's got a turbo rally engine. I'll have to cross-reference what he's actually driving.
That is what it sounds like. That was the engine that I put into one of my first ever builds. I'm very familiar with that tone. That is definitely the Turbo Rally engine.
It might be the stock powertrain for the Forza Edition Honda, but it is, I think, the Turbo Rally engine.
All right, then. Well, then Chandler pulling it down the line. He's going to get his buy run in now in his Honda Civic Type R. Chandler, it's a shame too because Chandler versus KNC Giraffe would have been a very fun battle to call. Those two are veterans of the scene. They have been around for years, longer than I've been around, longer than many of you in chat potentially have been around. This would have been a battle of the Titans, needless to say. Regardless of how in practice they are or how to form they are. When you get names like that in a battle, it always usually produces. And would have been a fun one to call, but unfortunately for Giraffe with his 0 on the bye. He's going to give Chandler then the buy run all the way into the grade 8. He will be taking the winner of this next battle between Toyo Osama versus Toyo Big Pete.
Already we're seeing Toyo versus Toyo. A battle of a team battle that we weren't expecting to see. Ian, normally when we see these, they are pretty good. It's also our 8th and 9th seed as well. Big Pete, I believe, being the team leader for Team Toyo, going to be going up against Vasyama. Vasyama, I don't know if it's a name change. That might be Armani.
Okay.
The more I look at it, the more I think about it. As much as I don't want to lie. I'm not familiar with what country that flag is. But the only person I can think of that would be, that car fits Armani's profile. He likes these bigger GT cars. So I'm not sure if that's actually Armani. I'm sure somebody on chat would be like, of course it is, or of course it is, an idiot. But normally when we are seeing these team battles, they drive with each other quite frequently. They're probably doing practice for this event leading into it as well. As we get this next battle ready, this will be determining who goes against CI Chandler for your first spot in the Final Four. Again, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who makes it into the Great 8 is guaranteed prize money. That is where the money, or where the in the money starts, is that top 8. But being told it's not Armani, but I'm not familiar with this driver. That's why that's why I was like, maybe he changed his gamer tag. I'm not sure, but not familiar with Vasayama, but definitely making a name for himself here. Even if it was just with that lead run.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Vasayama in the lead then. Bentley Continental, second run so far, pushing a little wide on the exit at turn number 1, but does recover, not into the grass. That's going to allow the GTR in chase. Big Pete all over the door of Osama, going into the keyhole, missing outer zone number 2 big time in that lead position, unfortunately. Will they be doing this Toyo versus Toyo battle? Lighten up here at Road Atlanta with lots of proximity in chase for Big Pete, and a couple of minute mistakes for Osama in their lead is going to leave the door wide open for Big Pete to potentially do some good things here for the second half of this battle.
Yeah, Big Pete got a lot of speed in that GTR, Ian, as we go into the replay here. And Armani in chat, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Every time I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. He's new. I've never seen him before. Someone's like, oh, it's obviously this guy with the changed gamer tag, dummy. And the one time I'm like, oh, maybe he changed his gamer tag. Like, no, it's a different guy, idiot. I can't win. But yeah, Vasayama going wide on turn 1 there and missing the outer zone of the keyhole. He got there, but just not quite where the judges are looking for. So not huge, big mistakes like tire drops, but like you said, Ian, definitely leaving some points on the board for Big Pete in that lead position as we've seen him. I think it might be his stronger of the two. That car being very quick is Big Pete in the GTR, so we'll have to see how Vasayama deals and copes with that. Representing Portugal is where I thought that flag was from as well. Like I said, being an international affair, we did drivers from Europe, North America, all over the world. As we're hearing the revs from Initial Die back in the van out of the way going in the second half of our battle here for the grade 8.
All right, so the battle of the rotundness continues here in top 16. Toyo Big Pete up in the lead. Initiates in that R35 GTR and into the door in chase. Is Vasayama bouncing off of the left side of the GTR in the lead and gets back in on the door for more proximity into the keyhole, knowing they need to put on the pressure to do something. Big Pete, though, doing a solid job in that lead position to not make any major mistakes on the line. Hitting the clips where it needs to be, and a gap at the end starting to be shown as well. Toyo Big Pete absorbing that pressure like a sponge absorbs liquid, Keenan.
What did you just say with your human mouth?
Absorbing the pressure like a sponge absorbs liquid. You got a problem with that? Was I wrong?
No, it's not wrong. It's just a good call. Vasayama really trying to put, like you said, put the gears to Big Pete. Big Pete really not letting it phase him too much. We did see it one tire off, I believe, on the run up the hill. Vasayama, I'm not sure what their contact here on the turn 1, because it did look like Big Pete was being patient with his entry. So turn 1, what you want to do there is really get on throttle at the apex of the corner and stay on throttle the whole way up the hill. So for me, it looked like Big Pete was backing up his entry, just making sure he got on power at the right time. Vasayama looked like they were going in full kill. They were going in trying to get as much proximity as possible. So I'm not sure how that's going to be viewed, as whether Big Pete was slowed down too much or Vasayama just got a little bit too aggressive. Going up the hill, though, it almost looks like Vasayama said, well, I already hit him once, so I may as well hit him again. And just contact being made going into that horseshoe. Hit markers out in the chat. And then again, downhill, if Big Pete progresses on in this battle, Ian, really going to have to keep an eye on that GTR on the downhill section of this course, because it just seems like he just easily opens up gaps as soon as he puts down his right foot, as we wait for a judging call here. But relatively close, I think. Again, like we said, both these guys are teammates, both representing Team Toyo Drift. I believe that is Team Toyo Drift. I was right. I read the document once and I remember it. I'm a genius. When we are seeing these guys out here doing the best they can.
And decision.
And we have a call with 19-11. Closest battle we've seen so far all day. That is going to be Toyo Big Pete moving on to the next round of competition. So he will be in the money going up against CI Chandler. Going to be a good pairing here, I think. Is Big Pete versus Chandler, but Ian, going back to that last battle, being pretty close in on the new judging system on the scores, but I got to imagine that the over aggressiveness in chase and just those two mistakes in the lead from Vasayama were probably what did them in. going wide on turn 1 especially is a pretty egregious thing to do here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that this is the way it had to end for Osama, because definitely bringing out that new chassis that we haven't seen drifting for quite some time, making it a lot of fun to watch as well. But it looks like that maybe the judges were then just awarding the consistency a little more for Big Pete, because Big Pete, while you could say, oh, that chase wasn't nearly as saucy, but he was still keeping it in the picture and keeping the proximity and the gap consistent throughout the entirety of it. So honestly, at that point, you really think at that point that Big Pete, maybe it wasn't look as cool on camera, needless to say, for like a spectating standpoint, but still, I think it was just way more consistent as well, and there were some offsetting mistakes for lead, but end of the day, I don't think Big Pete's mistakes were nearly as big as almost completely missing an entire judging zone. So there was a close battle, but end of the day, it is leading towards Toyo Big Pete's favor. I will then see him advancing here to this Grade 8 battle versus CI Chandler.
All right, Big Pete versus Chandler. Not to take away from Froze, but I want to say this is Chandler's biggest test yet of the bracket. Obviously, having that bye run to get into the Grade 8. And Chandler a little bit excited on the start here as Big Pete takes the lead. Going into turn number 1 here. First battle, the Grade 8. Very aggressive is Chandler. Again, Big Pete trying to back up that entry, get as much speed up the hill as possible. Chandler perhaps just not being ready for that. Very much Big Pete getting all of that outer zone, hanging the rear bumper over the grass there. Team Rowdy fans love to see that. Going down through the downhill. Very smooth is Big Pete. Chandler really having to sacrifice a lot of angle to keep up with it. Big Pete one tire off there at the end. Ian, he played his cards right as Chandler, but is that going to reflect in the score? Knowing that car in front of him has a lot of speed, looks like he sacrificed quite a bit of angle to be able to stay there, especially up that first corner.
Yeah, it's what you got to do in that situation for Chandler. It wasn't necessarily a bad chase, though. Like, yeah, you could say it was a little bit less angle, but, he did what he had to do to keep it in the picture, matching the tire tracks throughout the almost entire course. Maybe shallowing out a little bit through the keyhole. That was a very, very good lead again for Toyo Big Pete. Big Pete is his strong suit up there in that lead position so far in this competition, but Chandler keeping himself in the picture with a really nice chase.
Yeah, let's not take away from Big Pete's chases. When you have a car with that kind of speed in it, you obviously can get on the door of that lead car pretty aggressively. But we're gonna have to see if we can put that into practice here in the second half of this Grade 8 battle. Again, winner moving on to the Final Four, guaranteed a $20 plus payout. As we're seeing the second half of our first Grade 8 battle here, Chandler going to be in the lead. Obviously, that car we've seen today looking very comfortable in that lead position. Big angle from Chandler. Going to use that to power up the hill. Big Pete looking a little nervous in the chase position, similar to what Chandler was doing in his chase. Chandler also getting all of that outer zone a little bit earlier than anything, but Big Pete right there, dropping on back just a little bit for the transition going downhill. Same song, different chorus. Chandler really opening the gap up, but having to sacrifice a little bit of angle. Big Pete tops off there just at the end.
Yeah, that was going to be a relatively close battle all the way up until that drop at the very end, Keenan. That is not going to be working in Big Pete's favor. Really, really beautiful job matching the lead driver throughout almost the entire portion of this course. Really, really solid chase for that R35 GTR, but those were 2 tires off on the final corner. 1 tire is okay. 2 is where you start seeing some pretty major deductions. Unfortunately, that's a big mistake.
Honestly, both these guys look pretty similar. We could argue that maybe Big Pete was a little bit more aggressive and a little bit smoother through the keyhole in his chase, but Chandler getting that outer zone a bit sooner and filling it equally as Big Pete, so it was pretty close. Would like to see a little bit more angle from that lead car, but you just get lost in the sauce there trying to catch up, and you don't notice the speed you're taking into that final corner. Ian, we've seen Big Pete drop a tire, at least 1 tire, almost every run there so far, and I think just in his haste, trying to catch up with that Civic, unfortunately just carried too much speed into the corner, and with that low angle, there is not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah, lots of momentum through final corner for that chase driver, and your tire is not able to stay all the way to angle. You're kind of hearing the throttle. I wish I had the ability to play just the car sounds isolated for you in replay so you can hear it. It's really
silent.
Yeah, I know. It didn't really seem like Big Pete was very committed on the throttle, knowing that that GTR is probably a little bit faster, and Chase doing what he needs to do to keep it behind the car, but unfortunately, by letting off the throttle, that doesn't let him drive it to the angle that he's probably used to with that chassis, and, that's unfortunately what may be causing that mistake on the exit of the final corner. We really wanted to keep it close, but, he was too afraid to get on the throttle and potentially just drive straight into the door of Chandler. Just all things about driving style and how these cars are set up. It's just these little nuances of drift that, these very veteran drivers have to pick on, but that may be the very thing that just bit him in the end. It just depends on what the judges are going to call the points discrepancies. But again, I think that was really the only major drop throughout the entirety of this battle, so that means there's going to be up to quite a bit for Big Pete to overcome on the scorecard here, potentially.
Yeah, Ian, just keeping an eye on our battle chat. Chandler saying in our battle chat he's never hit outer zone 2 like that. Well, buddy, you needed it there.
Oh, he nailed it. From start to finish of that outer zone, he was in it. That was a really, really solid job. Most drivers, they're only going to get a part of the back end into that outer zone, and then they'll just come off of it right away. But Chandler made sure he filled the zone. It wasn't just a matter of touching the zone and saying that my car was there. He's like, okay, this is where the zone starts. My bumper is already over the grass. This is where the zone ends. My bumper is still over the grass. So that is a really, really solid lead. Chandler, you're absolutely right there.
And not to take away from Big Pete, because if you watch Big Pete, he did the same thing, if not with a little bit more angle. But I think the difference between the two is that the Civic got there sooner.
Right.
Not by much, but he was at that outer zone sooner. And like we said, or like I said, the boys at Team Rowdy love to see that. Our tent would be right there, getting dirt kicked in our faces.
And that will be then the decision. C.I. Chandler will advance to the next round of competition. He is our first Final Four competitor of this tournament.
I haven't seen Chandler compete in a long time. Not really been competing in a lot of these side events and other tournaments that we've been doing, Ian. But good to see him back. And not only good to see him back, he's in something that's on brand. For him, he's not in that Vauxhall, but he is in some sort of wacky hatchback that is completely on brand for him. And to add to that, he is also in a first member of our top 4, so he's going to get a guaranteed $20 payout here with potential to fight for that grand prize. But we'll be moving on to our second lobby, ladies and gentlemen. Again, ESDA kind of goes in 4 quarters where we find our 4 finalists and then we enter our final lobby. So we will be back with our second quarter of our battles here in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. I'll fight you in real life with my fists. I won't, because you'll beat me up, but still, stay tuned.
Used to be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep, now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should leave, and by the time it's done, I'll be gone. So distant when you're home, always hanging by your phone. Do I even know you? And I get paranoid sometimes, 'cause I know that you ain't mine, and I'm lost without you. Used to be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep, now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should Pick it all up and start again. You've got a second chance, you could go home, escape it all, it's just irrelevant. It's just medicine. It's just medicine. You could still be what you want to, what you said you were when I met you.
ladies and gentlemen in Twitch chat. Ladies and gentlemen in Twitch chat, if you have any connection with KNC, I need KNC Nirvana. If you are here and ready to go, please get ready to accept your invites. Your lobby is up. KNC Nirvana. We need you to be ready. Thank you. All right, and welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 2020 ESDA exhibition at Road Atlanta. My name's Ian Plash, joined alongside with Keenan Kusin for now what is the second lobby of our top 32 action. Keenan, lobby number one of the most interesting situations we've ever seen with an immediate buy-run disqualification due to a zero. That is not how you want to start a tournament off. Unfortunately, that was KNC Giraffe falling victim to that deduction. But we are back. We're ready to go. Lobby number two's got a lot of heavy hitters ready to go. It looks like KNC Nirvana was not able to. Actually, yes, it looks like KNC Nirvana is in the lobby and just about ready to go then. So I think we're actually going to go ahead and then back out and pick him up. So disregard everything I just said. We'll be right back here for continuing coverage of the ESCA exhibition at Road Atlanta.
town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all.
There we go. All right, we are back. It looks like we have everybody that we need in the lobby set and ready to go. All the drivers then working their way back to the starting line area to resume this competition. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is lobby number 2 of what is going to be in total 5 at the end of this one. We're essentially halfway done with the tournament. Already flying by pretty quick, Keenan. Lots more really heavy hitters come up here in lobby number 2. We have Heartbeat Evo, CSC Faded, UNK Scorpion, BPC Stance, AOM Prophet, TDR Boy, Ray J, and KNC Nirvana. These are going to be your 8 drivers in lobby number 2.
All right, Evo, you can punch me in the mouth after I say this, but every big ESDA event, Ian, we have an unknown, somebody who's maybe not been super competitive in streams or in battles before, maybe someone we haven't seen that just comes out and absolutely wipes the floor with everybody. Last year, Suzuka comes to mind with, oh God, I don't remember his name now. He's in an Evo 10. Help. Assist. Help me.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about, though?
Yeah. He changed to the MX-5 in 2019 as well, right?
Yeah, and he's from the Aceto scene. I think somebody's going to come out here and be like, Sino, thank you. Yeah, I have the memory capacity of a gnat. Alcohol is bad for you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't drink it. I'm getting vibes from that from Heartbeat Evo right now. Faded, obviously, nothing to shake a stick at. Faded, a very, very strong driver, but Heartbeat qualifying Evo qualifying 4th. Really coming out here. It might be the C note of this event, but might not. Maybe just jinxed him. We'll see. But Faded, obviously running TSC. TSC's been riding a big high lately with their a lot of their competition results. A lot of front toe in that car. Nikes.
Woo! As
we move in to our first battle of our top 32 here of our second group. Evo in the lead. Faded giving chase. Faded making me look silly right on the door of Evo immediately as Evo's trying to get away from him in that Mazda, but that Ford Mustang is not letting him get anywhere. Great job of Evo filling that outer zone, but Faded is right there. Has not left the door. There is so much rubber on the door of the Mazda of Evo. Only really losing him in the last zone. Ian, I can't really follow the lead, but that chase was glorious.
Faded driving way harder than a 29th seed would indicate. You gotta believe, I know Faded, he's been around for a long time, probably had an unfortunate set of qualifying circumstances that put him in that situation. Heartbeat Evo, though, with that great lead, completely almost wiped away by the fact that Faded was just not letting the man breathe. He was so close that Mustang's air intake was probably taking in the air that the RX-7 needed to gulp for their intake as well. That front end all over the side of the RX-7 throughout the run. That is what you want to see in a chase. Heartbeat Evo can't put a fault on him on his lead either, but he's going to have to do something special to match what Faded just did.
Yeah, as we switching positions here again, we've seen these Mazda FD RX-7s, especially with that still keeping that rotary power, and we've seen them have a lot of speed in them. But Faded, no slouch, as we saw in that chase position, as we're just getting ready to send cars here. See what these two can do. Faded in the lead now. Evo going to be chasing down that Mustang of TSC Faded. And here we go. Turn 1, a little bit of a mid-entry. Big angle from Faded, but Evo right there on the door. Tons of contact. Gonna need to watch that one back again. Faded looked like he's going a little wide. 1 tire, 2 tires off for Faded in the outer zone. Carrying way too much speed going into that horseshoe. Evo right on the door, catching back up. And very aggressive coming across the line. That was some soup. It's a hot day outside, but, that was a bowl of soup. Not really sure what to say.
Yeah, even with the tire drops, though, looking at run number 2, there was definitely a gap. The RX-7 needed to close in before they got into turn number 1, so you can definitely fault some of that contact with the fact that the RX-7 in chase needed to close. But Evo could have also been thrown off by the fact that Faded was like 110 degrees going into turn 1 and kind of parked it early weird mid-track, came to the left, all but stopped even as he almost completely runs over those inside curbs as well. So even without those tire drops, there could have been some discrepancies then with run number 2 that could give Evo some favors on the judging card. I can't fault Evo for the gap going up the hill then as a result, potentially, at least to my eyes, depending on what the judges say. But yeah, once again, though, there's one thing that is really easy to call, and that's tire drops. 2 tires way off and out of zone number 2 for TSC Faded going up the hill. That's going to be a rough one. That could completely offset all the advantages he could have gained potentially coming out of run number 1 here. Depends on what the judges have done to say about run number 2.
Yeah, not quite sure. It's unfortunate because it was a talking point at the very least on that first corner, because it looked like Fade had slowed down quite a bit. But your job as a follow car is to adjust for the lead car, and of course that is a slowdown zone. But, you know, not a whole lot you can really talk about when you got 2 tires off course, and we have seen, you know, even with this new judging system,
There it is.
a major deduction really making or breaking a battle. And with the score of not clicked on the right Discord page, 22-8, that is going to be Heartbeat Evo moving on against TSC Faded taking a crushing first round loss against Evo. That's gotta hurt. You know, Faded, I hate to say it, put it this way, Ian, but Fade has been having a great run as of late.
Yeah.
Been doing very well on a lot of tournaments. I don't think that, you know, one issue like this it hopefully does not haunt him that much. I don't want to say he deserves a bad run, because that's not what I mean at all, but, like, you know, he's been killing it lately. So got nothing really to be ashamed of there at all. Next battle up, VPC Stance, another driver that we've been seeing getting better and better and better every time he's on the track, with U and K Scorpion going to be leading the charge here as we get right into it. Stance in the BRZ, Scorpion in the tried and true Mustang, running a throwback livery on there.
Oh.
Big angle from that Mustang, getting a little bit wide as he goes to mid-track. Stance doing a good job of covering off that transition, being able to transition properly. Charging in on the door of Scorp. Looking like he's going a little shallow, and he does. 1 tire into the grass. Going for the downhill here. A little bit of a gap has opened up.
Oh,
Scorp having to kick the clutch there, dropping a little bit of speed, which is going to open the door right up for Stance, but keeping all 4 tires on course.
yeah, unfortunately for UNK Scorpion, that was definitely a run of inconsistencies. I can see a couple of spots of the course where I was thinking, oh, that's way too much speed. You're going off, dude. And, you know, sure enough, you know, that was, especially, I think my biggest talking point is probably coming to the final corner. But, yeah, looking at the replay, Scorp maybe pushing a little bit wide in turn 1. Doesn't quite set up for turn 2 properly either. Lots of angle going through the keyhole. A little too much angle on the exit of outer zone 2. Sets him up to quickly punch that inside clip. And then again, maybe too much speed going into the final corner, causing him to over-angle to not completely go off. Inconsistent run for Scorpion, but no really bad drops other than potentially, you know, completely punching out that inside clip number 3 rather, on the inside of the keyhole. So unfortunate, small mistakes for Scorpion, but still definitely not out of it yet.
Team Unknown versus Team Virtual Proximity, making their names well known in the Forza Motorsports scene as of late, as Stance going to be leading, Scorpion giving chase in that Shelby Ford Mustang. Good entry from Stance, but Scorp is right there with him, both grabbing some curb there, but I do not think there was any tires off. Very aggressive is Scorpion in the chase, saying, hey, buddy, you need some help up that hill? Don't worry, I've got some Australian power to send you up that hill. Stance recovering very well, though, and doing a great job through the keyholes. We head through the downhill. Good line from that lead car. Scorp is actually having to sacrifice some angle to keep up with that car, even though he's got that big NASCAR Ford engine in there. A little bit of, I would say, tit for tat. Stealing from Jared DeAnda a little bit of tit for tat there. I think they both had moments of brilliance against Stance. Looked very good after that contact, and kind of gathering himself up going down through the downhill. Scorp was very aggressive in the follow.
Yeah, Stance doing a really good job in their lead, actually, other than maybe not quite getting to the outer zone number 2 that quick, but he still gets to the zone okay and fills a lot of it, especially on the back half. But lead for lead, Stance was probably a little more consistent, and as a result, that's going to allow Scorpion to have a better chase as well, because he's got a much easier canvas to work off up in that lead position, keeping the car in the picture throughout the entirety of it. Lots of speed for that that Subaru up from the front as well. So Stance, great job up in the lead. Scorpion doing everything he can to capitalize it as well in chase. Pretty solid run so far. This could be a pretty close decision.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a couple of, I think I already know where this is going to go personally, Ian. I don't want to say it because I don't want to be wrong. But I think the consistency is gonna pay off. We've been seeing that all day today as well, with the more consistent driver taking wins over maybe one that's being a bit more aggressive, going for those big angles, those big entries, and not quite pulling off the rest of the run. As we're waiting on a score here Scorpion, representing Team Unknown. Virtual Proximity representing Stance. One of those drivers, Ian, that we talked about on the top of the broadcast, just really has come through and blossomed lately in the Forza Motorsport competitive scene. Scorp has been a long time veteran of this scene. A guy that's been around for a while. Also has improved because this game has been out for quite a while now. But okay, something I didn't think we were going to see today at all. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, a tie score 15-15, completely even. They will be going at it again. Scorpion versus VPC Stance. Looks like they'll be lining up immediately. Going at it one more time. Scorpion in the lead. Stance will be giving chase.
Shows how much I know because I was already typing the names for the next battle.
Man. This new judging system, like we said, it's a little bit less predictable. The way the judges are rewarding consistency versus aggressiveness. I really thought I knew how that was going to go, but judges saying, nope, you guys don't know anything. One more time. Once again, VPC Stance going to be chasing it down. UNK Scorpion. Scorpion going to look to clean up his lead run here a little bit, as VPC is going to look like, or Stance is going to look to try to get a little bit more aggressive in his chase.
There you go.
Very, very good entry from Scorp there, carrying a lot of speed so far in that Mustang. Stance not really having the line he's looking for. Really cleaning up that outer zone is Scorp, waiting to pour on the angle until it was flat. A little bit of a wacky transition there. Saw contact being made. Gap's going to be open for Stance. As Scorpion across the line, Scorpion using the best of his OMT. Stance not quite getting the follow he was looking for there, Ian.
Yeah, definitely a much better lead this time for UNK Scorpion, hitting the line where he needed to be, being more consistent on the angle, being more consistent with the speed as well, not having any weird slowdowns. And Stance keeping it in the picture for the run, but unfortunately you will see coming out of the keyhole, looks like Stance was just a little too aggressive, didn't want to back off of the door of that Mustang up in the lead. And as a result, when Scorpion transitions exiting the keyhole, Stance is already still basically pointed to the right. That car can't transition. It gets really awkward. A big gap opens as a result. And that may not be working for Stance's favor this time around.
Yeah, it's just a part of Road Atlanta here on Forza Motorsport. Again, even going back to the first run, you see Scorp over-rotate. There's a little bump on the outside of the first outer zone of that keyhole. If you come in with too much angle, that bump just upsets you, and the car does not come back. Maybe Scorp just having a couple more sips of coffee. It is 3:30 in the morning over there in New Zealand. He loves it when I say if he's from New Zealand. It's his favorite thing. Going to turn one now. Stance in the lead. Scorpion giving chase. Good angle from both. But Scorpion going to have the line to be able to chase up the hill. And about the close proximity as we've seen today. Going up that hill. Big angle from that lead car is Stance. But is he going to be able to whip it back around? Yes, he does. Going back down the hill. But Scorpion is not letting him go anywhere. Keeping him on a tight leash. With the exception of that last corner, Ian. Great job from both, but is that follow run from Stance going to be his downfall here? Hill.
You all right there? Do you need a coffee? Do you need some gamer juice? Can I help you out?
Well, I don't need gamer juice. That's later, but a coffee would be very nice. Thank you.
So, yeah, once again, though, it looks like this time Scorpion better in chase through and through compared to what happened last time for him in chase. It was close last time as well, but I think this time, again, consistency is key. Making sure he keeps it within the proximity and the picture throughout the run. Also, a really solid job getting back into the picture, especially coming up the hill. You saw that small gap being shown through turn one, giving Stance the room to breathe, letting him do his thing. And he pulls what is essentially like a racing crossover move, where he pulls it a little bit far to the left, lets the car up in the lead position, set, and while Scorpion has that momentum from left to right, uses that to his advantage and gets right in on the door, up the hill, right in the tire track. That Mustang may not be running over anybody today yet, but still making sure that, he's being mindful of the brake pedal, being mindful of, what the car is doing and where it's at. No Brostang movements yet, but it is early in the going. Is this going to be him going down, or is Stance going to be going down this time? We're about to find out here pretty soon with a judging decision in a couple of moments.
As you said, Ian, that crossover move, it's just a difference of line. You saw Scorpion just kind of wait, and then hit the power. And that line is so key here at Road Atlanta to having a good run up the hill. If you watch the replay, you'll see that stance it takes a little bit more of a center line. The car looks like it's starting to track into that inner zone a little bit sooner, which is not necessarily a bad thing. He was still online, but he didn't have the same momentum coming up the hill, which opened the door, invited him in for snacks, some tea. They gave him a crisp handshake, elbow shake. You know, we are in wash your hands, everybody. We are in different times, but that is so. There's a lot of, as somebody who is a big fan of this track, not just to drive, but as a viewer, as a spectator, there's a lot of little nuances and foibles that kind of get missed if you're just kind of glancing it over, and that is definitely one of them, where you have to really be patient with your entry and stay as far to the right as you can before getting on that power and being able to charge all the way up the hill with as much power as you can. And again, we'd go back and talk to that horseshoe where there is that little bump on the first part of the outer zone, where you don't want to come in with as much angle as you actually want, because once you hit that bump and your springs decompress, or your springs compress, as you saw in Scorp's first run before the OMT, where he over rotated, that wasn't him putting angle into the car. That was, you know, a little bit too much angle, and then you hit that bump. As I watched the replay again, Stance just absolutely painting that white line of that outer zone. Both brilliant drive from both these guys, honestly, and this is kind of a great example, as we said at the top of the broadcast, where qualifying isn't really going to matter. Stance qualified 20th, ladies and gentlemen. When you have a score cut off of an 80, anything can happen.
Yeah, it's really going to be the battle of offsetting mistakes here. I'm seeing a couple of instances where there's almost identical mistakes, especially like exiting the final corner in Chase for Chase. That there's just no proximity for either of them exiting the final corner, although you could say that Stance, you know, due to his mistake, exiting the keyhole didn't quite exactly have any proximity for the second to last corner as well. But there were some amazing things, as you mentioned before, that Stance was doing in their lead that could offset mistakes and put some points back in his favor to offset the discrepancies in Chase. Regardless of this decision, you know, it's taking a while. Judges still talking about it. There's quite a bit to talk through on this one. There is a world where this could be going OMT again. We'll see what has to come of it, but they're still talking about it right now.
I mean, I think this one, like that last one, went OMT, and this is a lot closer than the last one, in my opinion. Luckily, we are not judges, but like you said, Ian, this is very, very close. Going to come down to, that's why I went so in depth with that first corner.
There it is.
Yeah.
Very close margin, but 17-13. UNK Scorpion. He will be advancing to the top 16 portion of this competition by the skin of his teeth, Keenan. That was close.
Yeah, that was as close as we've seen a battle today that has not been OMT. 17-13, not a whole lot of points in it, but it's like we said, or like you said specifically, it came down to the little things where Stance overshot that, or didn't quite have the good entry into the turn one, and overshot a little bit into that outer zone. And I think it's got to come more, comes down to, in my opinion, the transition going down the hill. Just not quite getting it. May have been a little lag and when I look at it again, but it was deadly close as we move on to our next battle here.
Yep, this will be AOM Profit versus TDR Boy, two drivers we have seen driving for the last couple of months continuously, still keeping their names relevant in the scene and still putting down some very solid results as well. Team Drift Royals, Art of Motion, teams that have been around for a long time, and they continue to prove why they are still relevant. Once again, qualifying for the ESDA exhibition here at Road Atlanta. Profit in particular as well has been doing some phenomenal things. Team Drift Royals as a whole is probably one of the best, most improved teams of the last year or two. I love seeing this kind of evolution in a drift scene and being able to track it throughout the years. We're going to see how these two drivers go head-to-head with Profit in the lead and TDR Boy in chase, continuing lobby number 2 of 4 in top 32 action, just waiting on that gate car to fire off backwards and get this thing underway. Both drivers on the line, ready to go. Who is going to come out of this one on top? Profit, 5th seed. TDR Boy, 28th. on the loud pedal and back into turn number 1 to continue our drifting action. Big flick for Profit going into turn number 1. That was a Simster flick if I've ever seen one. TDR Boy has some gaps to make up for. Fortunately, charges in an awkward position and lots of angle and chase, but unfortunately, Boy really making a couple of small mistakes. I didn't see what Profit did. You're going to have to call back on that one because it was a little bit out of camera, but Boy really not on his toes for this one. Definitely on the back foot in chase. Just making a couple of mistakes and just not letting himself catch up to Profit anywhere throughout that run.
Oh, man, Chad, you're going to have to trust me, but I think Profit dropped too.
Oh.
When Boy was doing his big wacky over-rotation thing that Ian was doing, I turned my camera and saw Profit with, for sure, 1 in the grass. Looked like 2. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see that on the replay because of just how Forza works. But yeah, as soon as Boy started to over-rotate like that, I looked to see where Profit was on track and saw him out in the grass. I don't want to be the snitch, but I absolutely saw 1. So we can only go off what we see here.
Hopefully one of the judges also was turning their camera as well, because the controller was definitely on the opposite corner of the table, so wasn't able to do it regardless. So here we go then. TDR Boy in the lead. Lots of mistakes in chase and potentially some drops for Profit, but that is yet to be confirmed. We'll talk about that later. We still got a second half of this battle to go. Boy initiates, gets down to the inside clip, more consistent this time for his lead, and Profit taking advantage of that by making a small piece of contact. However, Boy up the hill, getting a decent gap, but dropping 2 tires into the grass. That is a mistake for Boy in his lead as well. Mistakes be damned on both sides of the battle. That cannot be understated for Boy as 2 tires go off, and Profit keeping it much more consistent in comparison in chase, even making some contact to finish out the run. Boy, oh boy. No pun intended.
You know, I don't want to sound like I'm happy that happened, but that really that takes the pressure off for me. I don't feel like as much like a narc anymore. I never narked on nobody, by the way. Just you hate to see it though. You don't like to see it lead down to that kind of thing.
I got that reference.
Thank you. Yeah, I understood that reference. Especially with Boy, you know, being our 20th qualifier, going up against Profit, number 5 again. Like we said, qualifying doesn't really matter in this tournament. It's more so just to see where people are qualifying, or people are starting rather. But you know, Profit getting all the door of Boy on the downhill there as well. Getting very aggressive, but you know, Profit with no major mistakes. So even if he did 0 his lead, you know, I would almost argue that Boy has a 0 as well on his follow. And we know for sure there was 2 tires that time from Boy. So
Boy also being super close to being an incomplete on his chase as well, unfortunately.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. With the big over rotation and the slowdown, like.
Oh, decision is coming in then. Initial die typing into battle chat. Of decision here in just a couple of short seconds.
Close.
As GG's all around for the competitors. Love to seeing the camaraderie between competitors, especially in a very high pressure situation. As 29-1 AOM Profit will be advancing to the next round of competition. That is going to be the end.
That's brutal.
TDR Boy, yeah, that's pretty brutal.
He's already dead. Oh man, like you said, Ian, I'm guessing the judges did view that run as an incomplete.
Yeah.
As we get our next battle up with KNC Nirvana versus Ray J, also known as Zombie Kill. Be switching his name, running a de facto Achilles livery on this Corvette. Not a car I think I've seen him drive too much, but you know. Did really well in the last tournament we saw it in, as we got Nirvana in the FD, what he's known for. Good entry from both, but Ray J kind of going a little bit wide, being able to open the door up for Nirvana going up the hill. A little bit of foot brakes pouring on the angle is that Corvette. Nirvana right there with him, though, painting the inside line is Ray J. Excellent job up in that lead position so far, but Nirvana right there with him in the chase. Across the line, great job from both. But that angle from that Corvette, I was like, I don't know why he picked that car. I think I figured out why he picked that car.
I think we just figured out why he picked that car. Really solid lead for Ray J. Zombie kill up in the lead. And Nirvana, we're back here at the house of 95%. Fond memories, Nirvana. We love that one. But
I was
yeah,
trying to sneak that reference in.
so really solid lead for Ray J, getting a lot of every single zone with plenty of style to boot. Nirvana keeping it in the picture, but God, the way that Ray J was able to flick that Corvette around as well so quickly and getting it to angle, really solidly tuned vehicle. That's a driver who's been practicing quite a bit, I'd like to say.
I mean, Ian, we can see the Schmeat on the back of this Corvette, and like can't take too much away from Nirvana being able to stay right there with him that whole time.
You refer to tire width as Schmeat?
Yeah, Schmeat. Rubber Schmeat. Why are you saying that like it's not a common thing? Moving on to the second half of the battle here. Nirvana in the lead. Ray J giving chase. Nirvana nice and smooth up in the lead. Ray J gonna have to close the gap a little bit, and he does. Nirvana trying to throw the big angle back right at him. Pushing is Ray J on the door, shoving him through the corner. Gonna have to get on the brakes to give him room to transition though. See if he can grab that proximity back again. As Nirvana crossing the line. Yeah, I didn't think he was coming back from that. I think Ray J may have helped him out a little bit too.
Yeah, what I love to see out of Nirvana as well here in the situation, he kind of pulled one of those, I see your angle, anything you can do, I can do better. My goodness, he was probably just as backwards into turn number one, just as stylish with as much angle and consistency in the lead as well, and all but backwards into the keyhole too. I'm looking lead for lead right now. These are practically matching runs, Keenan, just looking at them side by side while they're still synced up for the first playback, maybe even a little bit more angle from Nirvana on the second to last corner as well. But Ray J also solid chase for that one as well. This could be a potentially very close decision, Keenan. That was a fantastic battle. One of my favorites so far of this tournament.
Yeah, Ian, we're talking about close battles and a lot of, comparing mistakes or comparing strengths here. Shoving, like, I don't know how the judges are going to view that. Like, Ray J shoving him through the corner. As, shoving him right through the corner. But, is that going to be viewed as a detriment to Nirvana? Is that going to be viewed as a detriment to Ray J? Like who's pushing who? How do we view that? It's luckily not down to us. Down to trauma. Not down to trauma.
Down to trauma. No pressure, trauma.
Down to the judges.
Trauma in chat, like, huh?
No, he's not in chat anymore. Don't worry about it.
Okay, we're good. Man, that was a really fun battle. I do love, Road Atlanta, it's one of the tracks, it's one of the slowest drifting circuits you can feasibly run on Forza as far as like a competitive layout, and that allows for a lot of style. And ever since that angle kit came in, the drivers were already pseudo throwing 90s, 100s with less angle, but now that it's more available to them to be more stylish with the angle kit, that's going to allow the 60 degrees of front tire rotation. That's allowing so much more style to be thrown on a track that was already a style machine. It was the birthplace of backies, the birthplace of 90 degrees almost every single corner, ridiculous throttle control, ridiculous angle left, right, and center. And just watching both of their lead runs, this is just the sign of drivers who have been playing this for a long friggin' time, and they have figured out how to make their cars do all the fancy stuff and put it on the show for the fans and the judges. And it's a good run to be a drift fan for sure. That is a very, very, very good battle.
As we're awaiting a score here, luckily for us, again, not judging today, and we're gonna be able to see how close this decision was in our last battle of this is our second group top 32. And Ian, this is pretty tight, and it's going to come down to like we said already, just like very little minor things, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is taking some time. And nope, that is going to be the second OMT we have seen today. 15-15, and I wholeheartly agree with that call.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, not a whole lot you could have, not a whole lot of difference there that you could have done. Pretty close between the two of the guys there. Gonna be sending them again. And I don't know what really they could have done. There wasn't a lot of major mistakes, and it was more so just, you know, one guy brought everything they had, the other guy brought everything they had, and you know, here we are.
Absolutely, both drivers then back on the line. Gonna try it once again. Couldn't pick the winner last time, and you know, that was a run of both their leads are basically wearing their hearts on their sleeve. It's like, how much more do they have to give in a lead run? Because they're gonna have to do it again, right? So we're gonna see what they can do this time. Ray J up in the lead in that Corvette. One more time of top 32. Second, one more time of this competition thus far. Ray J putting on the angle again, going into turn number 1. Nirvana keeping in the picture, and this time Ray J getting a lot more angle on inside clip 2 as well, all the way into the outer zone, and contact being made. Nirvana potentially pushing Ray J off into the dirt. Still going to continue anyways, transitions across the upper poles. Some of that green paint and makes it his own on the front of that RX-7 and does it again between the second to last corner as well. But a gap at the end of the run being shown for Ray J, pulling away a little bit to finish out the run.
Definitely a lot more to talk about here this time. Last run we had was very close. Less about the mistakes and more about, you know, what one driver did compared to the other, as we have Ray J pulling over here right in front of this, of our restart van. Maybe changing some songs or whatever. Like you said, Ian, good angle in that first corner, but you got to recover from that very quickly or you're going to lose a lot of speed, as we saw Ray coming up the hill as well. A little bit of contact from Nirvana. A lot of times you'll see contact in this game where it doesn't really affect the car much. You absolutely saw that that contact from that FD push that Corvette out wide.
Both drivers on the lines. Let's maybe have something to speak of. Yeah, we see that, Zombie. You don't need to point that out, buddy. Here we go. Second half of the battle. Nirvana up in the lead. Zombie and Chase. OMT. Let's see what Nirvana can do up in their lead run. Backwards again into turn number 1 and painting. Inside clip number 1. A lot more angle again for Nirvana. On inside clip 2, backwards into the keyhole. Zombie matching it, however, pushes into the door all the way through and through. Maybe a small tire drop for Nirvana on inside clip number 3. Transitions quickly to exit the keyhole. Jay keeping it in the picture, transitioning across the bumper again and keeping it through and through all over the back end of that RX-7 with a small discrepancy of line exiting the final corner. But that was once again a really solid drive for both drivers.
Yeah, Ian, like we said before, less mistakes there. As we got him typing again. If you could just go over these replays here. I know you already called them, but getting a minute here. Really going to be really close. I think it's going to come down to that first run.
Maybe another battle of offsetting mistakes in the situation, whereas last time run number 1 of this battle was about, you know, just how good the battles were head-to-head, keeping it close. This time it may be dependent on which mistake is more offsetting than another. There was that push going into the keyhole we saw in run number 1, and then run number 2 as well for Ray J exiting the final corner. Not quite on the same trajectory as that lead driver. Kind of letting a small gap being shown at the end of the battle as well. But still, all things considered, Keenan, another very close battle.
Yeah, Ian, but I mean, there's more to talk about in this one.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more to talk about in this one. Less of who did better and like where the strength was, and more down to I'm sorry, more down to whose mistakes are going to outweigh other mistakes. It's more than what we're used to seeing in drifting. But very strong from both these guys. I don't think they have anything to be ashamed of. It's a shame they got matched up in. This early.
Yeah, this is a finals quality battle all day so far from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're waiting on the call here. And very, very close. Not a whole lot to expand on here. Again, we're just waiting to see where.
Well, while we have this opportunity, then I'll go ahead and then just step in and say thank you so much to everybody out there in Twitch so far today, contributing with your views to this event. ESDA has been out of the loop for quite some time. The last time we saw battle with ESDA was the finals last year, if I'm not mistaken. That was September. Was it not? Sometime around that general time frame. So it's been a minute since ESDA has been out on the scene. Of course, you've been watching all kinds of drifting action with Haley's comps, literal comp. You had an outrun round in between as well. So we're keeping the embers lit on the bottom of the bonfire, trying to keep that kindling going for what is to be Forza 8's drift scene as well. And it's fun to see that so many of these incredible drivers continue to come out and perform as well. And you, the viewers as well, still showing interest in everything we do over here in Forza. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support of this event. Still got a long way to go in this one, however, as we're not even through lobby number 2. You have tons and tons of drift action to go. So good day to be an esports drift fan. Good time to be a motorsports fan. Just a good time to be alive all in all. Hope you all are having a good Saturday, making the most of this situation, and, telling your loved ones that you care for them and that you have some good friends out there who are hanging out with you in voice calls. Oh, my goodness, Keenan, we are going again with a 15-15 OMT number 2. Are we going to see 95% again? Are we coming back on the meme? Is this the run back?
He's just destined to run bald. Zombie's asking for tires. So, if they say Zombie can go get tires, I don't think that's in the rule book. I think you're stuck on the set of tires.
Yeah. Oh, and also one thing to bear in mind with this one as well, we're pretty sure, at least, we're not terribly sure on the power to weight, but from what I can see, Nirvana's probably got some skinnier tires on that in comparison. The Corvette in the lead running those thicker tires, you got a lot more lateral grip with the tire width there, and that could mean we're seeing a little more tire wear on the Corvette side, and that could be becoming difficult then for Ray J to run on these tires. Now this is going to be OMT number 2. Interesting to see. No, it looks like they're going to have to run on these tires. Official word, that's what I thought. Really curious to see what their percentages are. I don't know if I can pull that up. I can't remember.
I can try.
But regardless, both drivers back on the line.
Tires. We got 21% in the back for the Corvette. And Nirvana at 28.
Nirvana! Don't do us like this, man.
He's doing it again. A lot of times you're not going to see tire wear become a problem, but once you get into the 25-30 range, you do see a change. As Ray J going to be in the lead now. Giving chase is KNC. Nirvana very close from both these guys. One tire off for Nirvana in the chase position, but being kind of choked up from that lead. Going to have to see how the judges view that as contact being made going up the hill again. These guys are brawling for their right to be in the top 16. Transitioning across the bumper is Nirvana of Ray J. Ray J, big angle still in that Corvette. Just notice he has a Ford emblem as his thing. That's funny. I laughed. That got me. That really threw me off.
Okay, cool. So I do have that replay.
All right, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah, I had a small freeze there. Small concern. Slight yikes, but we're good. Yeah, typically Ray J runs Mustangs left, right, and center. I don't think he realized this would be the round to change to a Corvette. Or he's just keeping on for the irony. And if that's the case, I respect that. I appreciate that. That's my alley for the humor. So well done if that's the case. But again, another solid run. This time maybe not as consistent in chase was Nirvana. Not really in the door like we've seen so far today. Let's see what they do this time for run number 2.
All right, changing position. We did see that Corvette. I forget. We've done so many competitions recently. I can't really specifically remember which one it was. But may have been VFD here where we saw a C4 Corvette do really, really, really strong.
Yeah, it was a C4 for sure.
Yeah, so I think maybe just took some inspiration. Maybe even been him now that I think about it, but may have just taken some information. Oh, where are you going?
Oh,
is he gonna take the reset?
Yep.
Yeah,
Smart.
Heads up. It sounds stupid, but a lot of times when this happens, a lot of people don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, no, I don't want to be the one to restart a run. That's kind of stupid. Luckily, Nirvana being able to turn around right away. Reset here. We do have a restart option. Very smart of Ray J to use that as he's laying behind here. And here they go. Ray J going to be chasing Nirvana in the lead position now.
Oh, Nirvana.
Very wide. Ray J. Not a whole lot of... He could have went for an overtake there if he really wanted to, but not a whole lot of place for him to go. Big angle now coming from Nirvana. Ray J into the quarter panel again. One tire possibly in the grass for that FDRX7. Ray J kind of laying back a little bit, knowing he's sitting on a bit of an advantage, not having to get too aggressive. Ian, that may have been the nail in the coffin for that RX-7.
Yeah, the mistake for sure on the initiation for the RX-7. Let's go back on the replays here, as I was kind of only half paying attention to a couple of things here. But regardless, from what I could at least see, lead for lead, it looks like this could potentially be going in Ray J's favor, especially with the loss of momentum going up the hill. The FD doing all they could in that lead to get all of the outer zone, just not quite enough momentum to reach the start of the outer zone. Really, really shallow going into the keyhole, and unfortunately, that's a big discrepancy in line. He just kind of comes off of that rumble strip a little too soon. Not enough momentum to keep that car where he wanted it to be. And this is going to be, I would imagine, a slightly easier call this time around, at least not so much so in the 15-15 OMT range, but still a couple more things to talk about with this battle. But yeah, definitely the most mistakes we've seen in this pairing so far was that last run.
Yeah, Ian, as you're saying, unfortunately, opposite, they're just more and more and more mistakes the more and more we've progressed here. As we're taking a look at our bracket again, this is our last battle in this round of the this group of the 32. As we're waiting on a call here. Don't think this one will be going OMT. And there it is. A score of 18-12. Ray J is going to be moving on into your grade 8. Unfortunately, Nirvana, after an absolute war with Ray J, will be knocked out in top 32 competition. I keep saying this, Ian. Gotta say, there is not a lot for you to be upset about at this point, especially when you took him that far. You know, great job to Nirvana. Unfortunately, just didn't have the X factor today to be able to take out Ray J.
Yeah, and it's good competition experience as well, because to say that you only did one battle but still did 3 runs, there's a lot of guys who get all the way into grade 8, and that's how many runs they get throughout the day, you know? So it's good seat time. It's good for the drivers to have that stiff of a competition and run to that level throughout the entirety of it. You know, that's it's good to for the drivers. I'm sure every one of them love to do it. You know, this is it's Forza Drift. It's things they've done all the time. They enjoy it, and you know, just unfortunately for them, you know, this is where it's gonna have to end. Luckily for the judges, though, they don't need to call it an OMT again, because we're OMT 3, and thankfully for the percentage of tire on the back of Nirvana, that's where we'll see the end there.
It was getting bad, man.
It was getting bad. He was up in the 30s there at that point.
As we're gonna see Heartbeat Evo versus UNK Scorpion. I'm torn. I'm absolutely torn. I love Scorp, but I always like the underdog.
Heartbeat Evo.
Oh, no, you take this one.
Okay, Heartbeat Evo in the chase. Oh my gosh, lead initiates in that RX-7 with tons of style and angle again, showing why he belongs here, showing why he qualified in position number 4. Doesn't quite get all of outer zone number 2, and Scorpion's going to take that opportunity to get into the door of that lead driver in the Mustang. And once again, we'll do so on the second to last corner transitions, losing out on proximity though. Evo all over the chip, exiting the course up in the lead. That Dorito getting his workout today.
Yeah, Ian. Really expect that car to be fast on the downhill. And that's where we've seen a lot of people pull away today, is on that downhill part of the course. Scorp, no shame or no slouch to speed either, but his strong point is definitely that style. I had to burp, which we did see coming up the hill, but Evo not getting anywhere near the outer zone that we were expecting. May have opened up that gap a little bit, but as soon as you get, as soon as they made that little bit of contact, Evo just puts his right foot down, takes off. Great line coming across the line there. Maybe one tire off. Have to watch that again, but definitely some points on the board for both these guys. Not over yet, as Evo representing Team Heartbeat versus Scorpion UNK. No stranger to competition here. So going to turn number 1.
Ooh, lots of angle for the Mustang up in that lead position this time around, doing everything he can to make up for the differences in lead for lead. But a tire drop on the outer zone number 2 will be a big talking point about this one, but there's still a really solid gap being shown throughout this run so far. Scorpion with lots of style, and all over the door for the end of the run is Heartbeat Evo in chase. But barring that tire drop up in the lead, Scorp was putting down a pretty solid lead. But now that they have that talking point, there could be a couple of things that offset this. This is going to be another close call, Keenan.
Yeah, Ian, I mean, what comes down to me is a really big zone for me is that keyhole. If you can nail that keyhole right, or that horseshoe correctly, you can get away with a lot of other minimal mistakes. That's basically your big zone. Scorp dropped the tire in that zone. So it's... it depends on how the new judging system is. It's not new, but it's new to us. It's hard to make a call based on that. But for me personally, that's my big, huge zone. That's where I judge a lot of, like, you can get away with a lot in that. But speaking of that, like, you see Scorp pull away almost in the second half of the course up until that last corner where Evo just has the line and the initiation point figured out, it seems. Very, very tight, and it is going to be a war of mistakes here, it seems. As you know, Scorp maybe had one tire off, but Evo had one tire off in the lead and did not get any of that outer zone. In terms of leading, it looks like that was Scorpion's only mistake, really. So it's just going to come down to how the judges are viewing that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the loss of proximity at the end of run number 1 for Scorpion in chase, this could have potentially been a closer battle, but you kind of see the Mustang charge in an awkward spot in the second to last corner and pushing wide as a result, letting the FD get away at the end of the run. And in the bottom half of the bracket, or the bottom half, rather, of the battle, you're seeing in the bottom right corner, not necessarily the same mistake in chase, not necessarily in on the door either for the second corner, but he's playing it safe, didn't charge in an awkward spot to let the transition happen, and then charges late. That's a very smart drive for Heartbeat Evo, doing what he needs to do to keep it in the picture and not make any big mistakes. It really is just a matter of how much is Scorpion's mistakes going to offset Heartbeat's missing of outer zone number 2. Maybe not as much style either in their lead in comparison. Obviously, this is 2 different chassis, 2 different driving styles to run it. Judges definitely have a couple of things to talk about this time around as far as which mistake is more important in their eyes, which mistake will deduct less, which deducts more. Not necessarily the cleanest of battles, but no big flaws with it either. So it's just another one of those the judges are going to have to talk about it for a while.
Yeah, it's like we said, it's pretty tight. Not quite sure what way this is going to go again. And welcome everybody who's stopping in. Again, the viewers numbers have been over 100 since the broadcast got started. So I appreciate having you guys here. Welcome everybody, new or old. And make sure to click that follow button if you have not already. Yes, this is ESDA's exhibition round for 2020, but we will be back in full force heading into the end of the year as well. And I hope everybody's at home staying safe in these weird times that, I guess weird is a word, weird times that we're living in. Again, it's nice to see some old names and some new names here in our stream chat. I'm hoping that you guys are out there having some fun at home. And unfortunately, we're not going to see any real drifting until, well, at least in North America, we're not going to see any real drifting until September at least. So I know all of us over here at ESDA, whether it be media, staff, or whatever, are glad to be able to give that to you in the absence of being able to go out to the racetrack and watch people with more money than sense bang cars into each other for 5 to 6 hours. So thanks for being here, guys. And hopefully you'll stay tuned with us all the way up until our finals to figure out who our grand champion will be here at the ESDA 2020 Road Atlanta exhibition. Again, cash money on the line here. Winner going to be taking home $100 US, which, like I said, is probably 30,000 Canadian dollars. That's a lot of maple bucks. You know, and then these top 8 positions are pretty important because anything top 8 forward, you are in the money. This was a free to enter event as well. So, you know, $10 is $10, man. You can go get some Taco Bell, some delivered, of course. You're not going out to Taco Bell. Eyes emoji, everybody. Wash your hands. But you know, it's not something we've had in ESDA before. A lot of times it's bragging rights or stuff like merchandise or whatever. This is the first time that we've been able to have. Seen it again.
We're doing it again.
Yeah. We're gonna have point judges because it's gonna cut down on one more times. We'll see a lot less one more time. Really? Are you sure?
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, are you sure about that?
What is this now? Our 4th OMT on the system?
We got like 3.
Yeah, this will be 4. This is 4. 4th, one more time.
So we're going to be seeing these guys line up again. Evo in the lead, Scorp giving chase. Again, pretty comparable mistakes, like we said. Scorp with that big drop in the big important zone, but Evo, you know, making some mistakes in their lead as well. So judges viewing that as pretty well even. Going to be going at it again. Evo in the lead, Scorp giving chase. A good entry from both, but Evo looking really going to look really good coming up this hill. Not quite getting the line they were looking for, but still opening up a gap. But Scorp is going to be closing that, coming into the first outer zone of the keyhole. Big angle from Scorpion. Good job adjusting the line, being able to get right back in the tire tracks of that RX-7. Other than the first part of the corner, or first part of the course looking really good in the lead is Evo, but Scorp right there with them. Another great run from both. I think both probably with 1, maybe 2 minor mistakes to their name. I'm getting some word that Evo representing the Gran Turismo drift community, so it's nice to have some other members from the GT community out here. We love you over here at ESDA, where, you know, we're not just a Forza, but I'm personally not a fan of Forza, I'm a fan of drifting. You know, so just to have some other guys come out from different games, especially when me and you, Ian, are pretty involved. Well, pretty involved. We're somewhat involved in the Gran Turismo drift scene as well.
Yeah.
Cool to see some guys out here giving Forza a whirl.
Doing a great job, I must also add. Heartbeat Evo, no slouch, showing that, you know, he belongs out here. This guy is a versed drift driver. Really solid drive so far. I mean, if qualifying Seed 4 wasn't enough, going toe-to-toe with one of Forza's veterans as well, that's a good showing so far on one of your first runs out here in a big competition.
That's what I'm saying. Qualified 4th. Very, very tight field. We had like 150-something qualifiers. But here we go. Scorp going to be leading this time. Going to have to see what Evo can do in the chase. Scorp going to need another very clean lead run. Big angle from Scorpion. Can he translate that into speed going up the hill? Looks like he can. Evo losing a little bit of ground, but being able to gain that back up in the... Oh, no! Fell for the trap. Unfortunately, trying to gain too much ground on UNK Scorpion. 2 tires. It looked like 2 tires off, pretty sure. Dropping another tire there, trying to gain back in. Ian, that's what these warmer times are for. It's sometimes you want to see people clean up mistakes, and sometimes in OMTs you end up forcing mistakes, and I think we just saw it right there.
I am going to go full screen on run number 2 just to confirm the tire drops for the judges. That will go to the side-by-side here. But, yeah, Scorpion very dangerously close to also dropping 2 tires in his lead. I did see one. Yeah, almost like Heartbeat saw the opportunity to charge in as Scorp was going a little bit wide, but unfortunately for him, he will push out just a little too wide himself in that chase position, dropping 2, Scorp potentially dropping 1 there. And then go ahead and go to that side-by-side. You know, if this is where it ends for Heartbeat Evo, one hell of a showing, but this isn't over yet. There's still a lot to talk about. There are still some things that could offset that in this battle. Barring that mistake, this was, once again, a really, really close battle through and through for both drivers. We're going to have to see how the judges are going to view some of those previous mistakes and other runs. But, man, this time around, needless to say, I think Scorpion's consistency in chase may be to his benefit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. Scorpion just looks very, very set in his ways in that lead position. And as soon as the throttle was timed going up the hill, like I said, it's touched on already, Ian, that Scorp just has that figured out. The wait, go. And then had the speed coming up the hill, which, you know, as a chase driver, like, oh my God, I got to catch up to that guy. And I was looking at it and I was watching it. I'm like, Evil's going a little quick. And I figured, you know, maybe a little bit of foot brake, some e-brake would dive the car back in, and just didn't quite get what we were looking for.
Yep, and that's it. UNK Scorpion will be advancing to the next round of competition, 21-9. Nothing to be upset about, though, for Heartbeat Evo coming in seed 4 and putting on one hell of a show. Please, everyone out there in Twitch chat, give your support for Heartbeat Evo and one hell of a drive today. That is nothing to be ashamed of.
No, and I mean, you know, Scorp is one of those guys in that either gets knocked out immediately or makes a very strong run.
If he's on point.
We're seeing Scorp in kill mode right now. I wonder how much $100 is in Australian. Like 25,000, 35,000. Man, we over here with the struggle currency right now. As we move on into our second top 16 battle of this second round, of the second group rather. Prophet versus Ray J. This is going to be a barn burner, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen these guys battle before. Both very, very competent drivers. V8 power, Chevy V8 power at that. With Prophet using the I was gonna say Matt Field, but I guess it would be guess it wouldn't be Matt Field anymore. With completely forget his name. It's not a day for my brain to work today, apparently. But Prophet going to be leading, Jay going to be giving chase.
All right, Prophet then back into turn number 1 to continue your top 16 action in lobby number 2, and he will do so with plenty of angle to show for in his lead position. Ray J gonna try to close it back in into the keyhole, gets in on the door. Prophet filling outer zone number 2 beautifully, gets down to the inner clip beautifully as well. Really solid lead and lots of style up in that lead position. A small gap starting to then be shown as the Corvette can't quite catch up. On the second half of this battle, Prophet, small tire drop on the exit of the final corner with plenty of style. I'm pretty sure we said earlier that Prophet is on sim steering, no?
Yeah, he's been known for sim steering and high rotation, which is as again, people who not super familiar with the drift scene, as racing, the meta is sim steering controller. It's literally the complete opposite for drifting, where the better guys are out on a wheel and using normal steering. But Prophet coming out of here, choosing to be on sim steering, running that higher rotation. Sometimes it pays off for him, as you see these big flicks. Virtual Formula Drift, he did the 360 going into the first corner, but sometimes it doesn't. It's a little bit twisty and twitchy. Ended up getting the speed using the Pat Gooden. Thank you, Twitch chat. The Pat Gooden S14, but Ray J not really being in the picture in the chase, especially in the second half, But that car is very set and very aggressive in the lead position, so I have to see what he does here.
Yeah, we'll see what Ray J can do up in the lead position this time in his Corvette. He is a stylish driver. He will do it again with plenty of speed through inner clip number 1, trying to pull the gap up the hill, getting a small one at that, but it's not going to be that large. Big angle into the keyhole and a tire drop in outer zone number 2, unfortunately, for Ray J up in that lead position, but still running a beautiful line down the hill. And Prophet making a mistake in the second to last corner, loses out in proximity as a result, and is not able to match what Ray J does on the exit of the course. Another close battle, Keenan. We're going to have another long deliberation, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately, this just a product of this track, Ian. With there's no runoff zone. It's very commit heavy. A lot of outer zones as well, where you see a lot of these 1 or 2 tire drops. So we knew going into this that it was going to be tricky, and we were going to see tire drops and issues. But it's down to mistakes versus mistakes. Again, watching this follow run again, Prophet not quite. They look pretty similar, man.
Yeah,
they look pretty similar when I'm watching them next to each other. Where he has the what's it called? He has the proximity. I can't think today. Skipping breakfast was a mistake. See what I do for you? You see what I do for you, ESDA chat? I starve myself for the betterment of your entertainment.
Twitch.tv/MrROHD.
Thank
Twitch.tv/MrROHD.
you, you saw where that was going. I had a whole like speech I was gonna but they look pretty similar. Maybe, you know, some extra tire drops from one side, some extra tire drops from the other side, but you know, very aggressive. Then coming up the hill, you see a little bit of gap opened, transition, and then the gap really opens on the exit. So, you know, if this does go OMT, both these guys have to figure themselves out a little bit more. And if it does not, it's going to come down to very, very tiny little things.
Driftings.
Things.
I must say, though,
Twitch.tv/Caitlin Ting.
I must say, though, I really do enjoy watching drivers running sim steering on Forza because, you know, we get so used to seeing a Forza on the standard steering system. Like, everyone in the meta is steering wheels at this point, top level. It's rare to see a roller, but those who do, they manage to hang on somewhat. But on the wheel, even with arcade steering, it still does deaden your steering a little bit. It makes your car rotate a little bit slower, doesn't make it snap as hard as you would expect for like a drifting car, right? But they still make it their own. That's how they can set a lot of angle. We're by the way, before we continue, I'll continue my point later. This is OMT. They're going OMT, ladies and gentlemen. OMT number 5 of the tournament.
Knew it. Called it.
But I do enjoy watching Prophet on sim steering quite a bit because, you know, the flicks, the way the car is able to transition quickly, it's not something that you typically see on Forza, and it really wasn't up until we started doing, I like to say the first VFD at Road Atlanta that I started noticing, oh, that guy's running sim steering. Wait, that guy's runs. What's happening? And suddenly sim steering is starting to come out and about in a couple more places, and, you know, we're seeing some more things with this game. It's how many years old now? We're still discovering new things that they can make viable, and I love seeing that. You can do many different things that can potentially also throw off your chase driver as well. This time, Prophet needs to get himself calibrated a little better this time, and maybe not drop a couple of tires, have a couple of awkward bobbles, and hopefully for him this time, this lead will be a little bit better off for him. This time, I believe if Ray J can get in the door a little bit harder, that is what he's going to need to do as well for this OMT to have a better showing.
Yeah, both these guys having to take this opportunity to clean up both their runs. And definitely both having mistakes on the board as Ray J in the chase. Prophet in the lead. You see, again, Ian talk on that point. Big flick into the first corner. Transitioning, going up the hill. Going to see Ray J try to close the gap here. One tire off for Prophet, grabbing the handbrake to slow down. But Ray J using Prophet as the brake, getting into a third time there. And we're going to see it shut down.
Yeah, I think he is going to be talking about the lag, and I was definitely seeing it.
It showed up on your screen a lot more than it did mine.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and bring up the replay, but this may be another instance of a small null as they need to submit the clip to the judging stand so they can confirm it for themselves. But you could definitely see a really awkward bobble for Prophet. At one point, the car wasn't quite as settled, and he had like a small pull back and then push forward unrealistically fast. That does indicate lag. You're going to see it right there, right at the inside clip where the car, because it's really weird back and forth. And Lewis Carr saying they also see it as well, and that's a very quick decision. They're going to call for that redo then. We're going to go ahead and try this again. Unfortunately, you know, as I say every time this kind of situation pops up, this is an online tournament. People all around the world with different connections. These little netcode discrepancies are going to happen.
All right. So, again, just gotta judge whether, they are going to be doing a redo of that run, and it's just, unfortunately, like you said, Ian, a part of, there's so many variables of running a tournament that isn't a LAN, where you know, it's individual connections to people's houses, it's the servers themselves, it's you know, the ping between people. It's just an unfortunate thing. So, you know, luckily we have never had a LAN competition before, so it is an issue that we're pretty familiar with. You know, our judges know what they're looking for. Me and Ian are familiar, know what we're looking for. So, you know, they're going to get a rerun here. We want both these guys to win or lose based on their driving merit, not on the strength of the internet connection. So, Prophet going to be in the lead again.
Oh, no.
Oh, nope. I think he just saved that. I don't know. We're going to have to watch it again. If he's going out, he's going out with the coolest entry I've seen all day. Oh, no. Ray J as well. Going into the grass, just unfortunately getting gripped up there, going in at least 2, possibly 3 tires. What the hell did we just watch?
Well, with or without Prophet's application of a little too much sauce, he decided to go for the garlic basil spaghetti sauce instead of doing just like the standard tomato sauce, and a little too much angle. That's a mistake, but I don't think he actually dropped a tire, Keenan. He recovered it, but he was backwards. And again, unfortunately, though, there was a really weird contact for Ray J in Outer Zone 2. That could have also been another instance of lag. It's kind of hard to say at that point. But, you know, regardless of whatever happened at the top of the hill, what happened at the bottom of the hill, probably not so much in Ray J's fault there. That was definitely a big discrepancy for Prophet in his initiation.
Yeah, what gets me about the initiation for Prophet, Ian, is the contact to the rear bumper. Okay, cool. I guess we don't get replays.
It was up.
It was.
You get one run. Everybody gets one.
Oh yeah, they're redo. No, this is the second run.
Yeah, this is run number 2.
No, they just did run number 2.
No,
I'm an idiot.
Hello, Keenan, brain.
I'm a fool. I am a
Go
fool.
get breakfast. You're fired.
I am a fool. There's too many OMTs. It was the contact to the rear bumper of Prophet that I'm like, maybe that's the only reason he made the corner, but we're going into the second run here, apparently. Ray J in the lead. Prophet going to be chasing. Prophet really needing a consistently good run here. Oh my God. A little bit of contact to the front, but very, very close on proximity was Prophet to Ray J, and he's still right on the door as he transitions across the bumper, moving into the last corner, both dropping a tire.
You know, with or without that mistake for the initiation on Prophet, I love it when a driver can take that mistake, make it a chip on their shoulder, and just go into the second half with nothing to lose and actually deliver at that point.
That's hard.
That's a very hard thing to do, knowing you have, you know, the nails in the coffin are already like halfway driven home. They know it's coming. So
there are hundreds of really good Forza drifters out there. There's hundreds of guys that like to come in and run their mouth and I'm the best and I'm so good. What separates these 32 over the 100 to 100, 150 to 200 people that qualified is mental game. You know, like, yes, you can come out here like no pressure and just you on the course. I know a lot of guys that, you know, didn't qualify. They could get 80 or 90 scores. But when the pressure's on, to be able to take that and harness it and be able to have the right mental game to be able to qualify to get in the tournament. Not only that, but like you said, Ian, make up for mistakes and be able to mentally reset. That is one of the most difficult things to do. And from a lot of people come from traditional racing, either drifting is a completely different animal when it comes to the mental game as well, where if I overshoot a breaking point a little bit in racing, it's a 20 or 30 lap race. It's you know, anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes. I have time to mentally reset, take a couple of deep breaths and go, don't worry, you only lost a couple of tenths. They'll make a mistake. Just keep at it. In drifting, you drop a tire, that might be you out of the entire competition. You know, you may have done the same amount of prep as somebody who, you know, is practicing for a racing event and be out within the first 10 minutes of the event even starting, right? You may only get like a minute or two of on track time. So for these guys to find that area in their head where they can still be focused and know when to attack, when not to attack, when to send it, when to, you know, maybe but dial it back a little bit while dealing with all these nerves and all these pressure, that's what separates, you know, this upper echelon of drivers from, you know, a lot of hundreds of skilled drivers. Because, you know, I've been playing this game for like 10-15 years at this point, and there's so many guys that are just so good, but they don't have the right mindset coming into game day. So as we saw from both these guys here, you know, both I think are sitting on a pretty significant mistake in my eyes. You know, to see, you know, Prophet come back from that entry, whether that's viewed as a mistake or not, and be able to get a good chase run in, and Ray J coming back from that almost complete shutdown and get a good lead run in as well, is a testament to both these guys' mental game. And that's honestly the big, when everyone's like, oh, how do I get into competitive drifting? What's the secret? How do I tune? I'm like, it's all down to the mental game, man. It's all down to how you battle yourself every time you get out there on the racetrack, and both these guys proving it right there.
And it's interesting to me that this decision is taking a little while, and that tells me then And right now, the judges are probably deliberating run number 1, what happened to Zombie Kill and Chase going at the top of the hill on outer zone number 2. If that is deemed as Zombie Kill's fault in that situation, I can see a world where something different may happen than what we're expecting here. Barring that mistake for Prophet in the initiation, it wasn't a complete 0. No, they're going to go ahead and then call it a 0 anyways. I've been proven wrong. Zombie Kill, 30-0. They have decided then to go ahead and call that a shutdown. All 3 are agreeing. Zombie Kill will be advancing to your Grade 8 AOM Prophet with the shutdown on the initiation. Most likely will see himself out in top 16 competition.
Well, when it comes to entries, Ian, even in real life, backwards entries are cool and all, but you have to make it fluid and you have to make it smooth. And I think with just how backwards that was, that big shutdown, especially with how shallow Prophet went on the line, they probably did view that as an incomplete. 30-0 is a little harsh, but both these guys doing a really, really good job. And like we said, the mental reset from Prophet was a great job. I don't think he has anything to be ashamed of. But Ray J, Zombie Kill are going to be moving on into the top 8 to go up against UNK Scorpion, another all V8 battle. Very, very close. We were only on lobby number 2. You said we were zooming through this, but this has been a tight, stacked lobby.
Honestly, this is probably all my fault for opening my mouth and saying anything. Yep. So I do apologize for those who were enjoying the flow of things. But we're going to take this quick little reset, and we have one more battle left of this lobby. UNK Scorpion versus Ray J. We'll decide which one of these two will be joining CI Chandler in the top 4. And after that, we still have plenty more to go. Next lobby, AOM Looney getting a bye run as your second seed. TTL Kooky in 15th seed versus Blue 028. KNC Tom Speed versus Nathan. KMI KZ Nathan. KNC JD versus TDR SR20 as well. So plenty of names that I'm familiar with. And while we're having that quick little preview of the next lobby, I'm low-key excited for this one because TTL Kooky, I know him from one of our Forza groups. I talked to him. I respect him. He's a great dude. I think his name was Ben, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very vocal for the drift scene, always posting about everything, and he's always out and about representing the scene very well and very respectfully, and always like seeing what he does for us in the scene. And I'm also really excited then for his opponent then, Blue 028. I have watched this guy in videos left, right, and center, improving, doing great things with like emulated force feedback as well back in the day. He was one of the staples in the Forza scene as well. In the back end though, like he wasn't necessarily competing and showing for it, and now he was talking about doing SSR and making his way up the rankings and doing ESDA, and then ESDA in 2020 went, about that, Chief, sorry. So this is his opportunity then to show for himself out here in the ESDA competition. That's gonna be a really fun one to get to, but we still got this battle to get through now. Again, UNK Scorpion versus Ray J. Ray J will be leading, Scorpion will be giving chase.
Yeah, Scorpion been on an absolute tear today, but Ray J being able to make the best of bad situations and being able to capitalize on other people's mistakes. So, very, very excited to see how both of these guys stack up against each other, Ian. Scorpion going to be your 13th qualifier with Ray J being your 12th qualifier.
Oh.
Funny, this is the second time this has happened now.
Funny that.
Both these guys are in the money at this point. In one of my friends from back in the Call of Duty days, in the money.
Yeah,
Welcome to high stakes. What in the chamber?
Regardless of this the situation, one of these drivers will be coming home with 10 US. Now it's the matter of if they go to Taco Bell and can actually get a whole platter, or if they can get maybe one burrito. Thank you.
Oh, dollar tacos, my guy. You get 10 of them.
Here we go then, your grade 8 battle of lobby number 2, Ray J. Initiation. Plenty of angle once again for the Corvette. The Mustang is all over the door, but will transition a little bit late and losing out in proximity as a result, but charges nicely into the keyhole. Ray J with the style in the lead position again, continuing to throw down very impressive lead runs all tournament long. Scorpion still in the picture, still trying to make the best of it, but making that mistake again in the bottom half. It seems like to me, Keenan, every time we get to the bottom half of the hill, Scorpion has been falling out of proximity almost every single time. It seems to be his weak point.
I think if you see for both of them, Scorpion's trying to cut his angle to try and prevent a tire drop. No tire drops that run at all, by the way.
Not one.
I had my looking eyes on, which means there's absolutely a tire drop that I missed. Anyway, Scorpion, doing a great job. As much as you sing the praises of Ray J, and it absolutely deserved. Scorpion was right there on the door, never left him except for that end zone. I think he cut the speed to try to not drop a tire, but Ray J just had the superior line where he's able to keep that speed and not have to worry about dropping a tire.
So we'll see then what happens on the second half when this battle is done. Gets his first tap of the day. Drivers are right to get this thing going. Move that van. Move this. So here we go then. Scorpion in the lead this time. Second half of your Grade 8 battle. We're seeing plenty of style as well for Scorpion all tournament long. He will definitely be able to match, and doing just that into turn 1 with the gap also on the brakes and chases Ray J to allow the car up front to transition. Charges into the door, up into the keyhole. Scorpion filling outer zone 2 beautifully, and Ray J is all over the door of the Mustang again. Huge flick for Scorpion in that lead position, and transitioning across the bumper is Ray J. This is another close battle. Keenan, Scorpion matching that style up in the lead, maybe doing a little more with it, but this time Ray J a little bit more consistent in comparison, especially on the back half for that chase. Not a lot of talking points to be had, but I think if anything is going to be playing to Ray J's favor, it's probably the consistency in chase.
Scorpion's driving out of his mind right now.
It's insane. That was a huge flick.
Let's just keep it really real. Scorpion's driving out of his mind right now. We're getting top tier level cap Scorpion right now. That's not to say take anything away from Ray J, but we did see a tire drop in that follow position. I do believe. In turn 1 again. Yep. Once you get on the power there, there's not a whole lot you can do. So it's gonna come down to, what do the judges reward more? Do they reward maybe the more aggressiveness of Ray J's follow run and kind of look over that tire drop on the inside and maybe the little bit of a wavering coming up the hill, or do we reward the consistency of Scorpion? A very, very good lead run. Not a whole lot to talk about in his lead run because it was very fluid and smooth, but losing a little bit of that proximity on the second half of his chase.
Also seeing Ray J dropping a rear tire over the rumble strip. Going up the hill into outer zone number 1 as well. Missed that the first time around, but pay attention to the bottom right-hand side of the screen. You'll see the tire drop on the inside, just barely a little bit tire over the curb, but pay attention to that left rear tire right there. Tire off into the grass in the chase position, but still beautiful line to match Scorpion into the keyhole and just all but pushing the man through the corner without really making any contact to what I saw. Very good braking, very good, what's the word we're looking for? Discipline on that brake pedal and the throttle pedal through the keyhole. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to be like, oh, I'm so close, I'm going to sauce it, and then you make that contact, and it's an easy mistake to make that could potentially throw off the entire battle. Veteran chase, Scorpion, as you said, on a tear. That lead run was beautiful to watch. Do you remember a while ago, actually, I'm looking at how Scorpion entered into the outer zone number 2 keyhole, really reminiscent of what happened between Rousey and Mystified here last year on ESCA, how they were both just backing it in perfectly and beautifully into the outer keyhole without really using too much of the brake, without slowing down too much, and keeping the style on all the way up the hill. This is the level of Scorpion that could have been in that final battle in the ESDA and had something to show for and been a competitor at that point. As you said before, Scorpion's either out round 1 or he's in kill mode. That is one hell of a drive.
Yeah, I mean, this is deadly close. I mean, even chat's really tit for tat here. Again, it's a award for aggressiveness versus consistency. We're seeing it right here, right in front of our eyes here. Judges still going over this, of course. Very, very close battle. Man, Ian, it's hard because and keep in mind, by the way, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning over in Australia right now. I make jokes he's from New Zealand, but it's like 4 something in the morning. Scorp has set a alarm for 3 a.m. to get up for this. Just the dedication that he's here and driving at this level. Sometimes that helps though. If you kind of come in and just get up, you don't have time to stress, you don't have time to worry about it. But very, very, very tight. And I really don't know. Because it's so personal opinion. It's not really clear cut to me. It's not like, oh well, he obviously dropped like 4 tires, it's worse. It's like, well, do you reward the more aggressive chase versus, you know, maybe a bit smoother of a lead run? Oh man. And like you said too, on turn 1, Scorpion maybe not so much that time, but has had it probably my favorite turn 1 out of everybody. Less for like the, oh my god, the angle, whatever. Just being able to get online so quickly and carry that speed up the hill has really been where he's been strong all day. That's why you see him so aggressive on the first half of his chases, because he's just got that figured out. And if anybody wants to have anything for Scorpion, if he does progress on in this tournament today, they're gonna have to figure that out quick.
Still plenty to talk about for the judges. Scorpion in chat saying he's feeling it right now. That man is on a tear. He's shaking. This man is stern. It's a terrible joke. I'm sorry. He is feeling it. Like Scorpion, to this level, it's always great to see him at driving like this, because, you know, we said time and time again, we've seen him in the past where he shows up, oh, it's Scorpion, can't wait to see what he does, then he makes some kind of mistake in round number 1, it's just over. He's been consistent, not making any major mistakes. I can see him dropping out early, and you know, both drivers saying that they're really enjoying this battle, and I can't blame them. This has been a fun one to watch, and whichever one of these two, you gotta believe, have a solid chance at potentially advancing all the way to the final, depending on how the battle with Chandler goes. You know, either of these two were the adversaries for that battle, needs to say. I really do like the pedigree these guys are showing.
Pedigree? That's my favorite dog food.
It's dog food.
Yummy. It's also the finishing maneuver of one Paul Triple H Levesque.
All right, well, here we go then. UNK Scorpions 17 to 14 will be advancing to the next round.
Scorp's gonna win this. Scorp's gonna win the whole thing. I hope I don't jinx him, but Scorpion.
Wait, that's some Steiner math. It should be 17-13.
You see all men were created equal. You look at Ray J and you look at UNK Scorpion and you see that statement. It's not true. I don't remember the rest of the quote well enough to be able to make this joke into the whole thing.
All right, everyone
listening gets my point.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute in Discord. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, for the continuation of this battle. That was lobby number 2. We gotta silence the short Canadian. I do apologize. As we then will be advancing to your next round of competition, which is going to be as follows. It's gonna be Aeon Looney getting a bye run. Then next up will be TTL Kooky, Blue 028, KNC Tom Speed, Nathan, KNC JD, and TDR SR20 in lobby number 3. Don't you go anywhere. We will be right back for more exciting Forza Motorsport drifting action.
Creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. Yeah.
welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 2020 ESDA exhibition here at Road Atlanta. It's been a pleasure having you alongside with us so far today. We are now halfway through this tournament. This is going to then be lobby number 3, and it will feature, once again, AOM Looney, TTL Kooky, Blue 028, KNC Tom Speed, Kamikaze, KMI KZ Nathan, KNC JD, TDR 20. Do I have that right? It's Kamikaze, right? I'm pretty sure that's
Yes,
it.
it is.
Okay, good.
I was told.
Okay,
He's
good.
apparently from France, so I will commentate his entire battle in French.
I will be impressed.
I will not do that.
Are you
will
sure?
not be doing that.
I want to see you try. I would really be curious if you can
No,
even
I'm
do
not
it.
gonna do our man. I'm not gonna do our man dirty like that. Ma français c'est pas. Je canadien pas français. Mais ma français c'est vraiment pas bon. Not good.
I understand. Your French is not good. I actually understood that. Impressive.
Yeah, proud of you. Learning.
So anyways, as we mentioned before, AOM Looney, thanks to a 31st seed not being able to show up, is going to get a bye run. He'll be going ahead and warming up those tires and getting out there in just a couple of short seconds. After we get done with that, your first battle of this lobby will be TTL Kooky versus Blue 028. And, you know, I can't take anything for granted anymore, as today has shown. Bye runs mean nothing until they're completed, so we got to keep our eyes out on Looney here. As soon as he gets done with that bye run, we can then start talking about that next battle. But Looney, also another solid veteran. I would be surprised if we saw that same mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like talking about it because I feel bad. Yeah. But we are going to have to see Looney be able to throw down a run. I mean, this is a pretty common thing here as we see him going through the course right now. A lot of guys use this as a shakedown, yes, but don't do anything that you wouldn't do in a battle. Make sure you get all 4 tires on the track, a tire drop here. You can get a 20-point run, but as long as you have points on the board, that's all that matters. As we see Looney maybe get the tire drop there in that outer zone, but he is going to have a schoolable run here as we move on with our next battle.
I saw that car, so much momentum shooting into outer zone 2. I'm like, oh God, no. No, please, break. He made it. We're good. So that is going to be then Looney advancing to your top 16. He'll be facing the winner of this battle between Blue 028 and TTL Kooky. As I had prefaced before in the earlier talks of this battle, I'm super looking forward to it. These are 2 names that I've been looking forward to see go for a while. As Blue in particular, I have not called him battle yet, though I have seen him run all the time in many different clips. And Ben Kooky, he had his couple of dabbles in a couple of competitions earlier on. Not the performances he was looking for. He was really beating himself down on about that one. He wants this one to show what he in that. I believe he's running the RX-7. Yes, he is. He is running the
Torque Stallion.
Yep, running the Torque Stallion. So we'll see what he's got to show for. Not the FD. That's just the.
Sorry.
That's the 90s RX-7. Yeah.
FC.
The FC, not the FD. Harder.
Yeah, FC with the BN Sports kit on there, I believe. I'm not too familiar with like body types and like bumpers and stuff, but Ian, something got to take into account here. Both team top line members.
I was about to say that. This is gonna be fun.
Same hat, but both TTL members. Probably did a lot of practice with each other. Something that I don't see very often either is that wing on the back of Blue's car. A lot of guys opt not to run any sort of extra downforce. It's not completely unheard of, but it is I would rather say pretty uncommon. Guys putting wings on the back. It just kind of upsets the handling of a drift car. Adds another layer of tuning to what you have to do. And especially at the speeds that a lot of these guys drive at, you're falling in and out of the effective range of that arrow. So interesting choice, especially since there's no arrow on the front either. It's just on the back. So we'll have to see if that plays in the decision here. But Kooky will be leading in the not Kooky FCRX7 V8. With Blue giving chase. That is not even a common car either. Both these guys kind of drive. Oh, big gap open by Kooky. Going in. Oh, big gap open. Okay.
Oh, he's out of gear. Blue fell out of gear.
Yeah, missed the shift was Blue, but Kooky just having his own set of problems up in the lead. Big mess from both these guys as Kooky's trying his best to clean it up here. Really having to close the gap is Blue to that lead car of Kooky, but you can hear it either just missed a shift or Stuck between, but as he was doing that, Kooky almost sent it off the track. He was going in so fast.
Be curious to see the horsepower on blue as well, because it did not seem like the car had as much pep on the throttle, if you could tell me.
I'll check if you cover for me for a second.
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, blue and Kooky getting back to the top of the hill then. Gonna go ahead and line it back up.
Oh, yeah, there's a difference.
what are we working with here, Chief?
All right, Kooky is running the NASCAR engine with 825 horsepower. Ian, take a stab at how much is in that S13.
I'm gonna guess 450 to 500.
543.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's on a bit of a power disadvantage.
Ooh.
Oh, the clutch fail. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yep.
That'll do it.
That's a shame.
As both these guys line up here, blue, I would have to imagine the strength of that car would be the lead position regardless. And just because Kooky has the speed, he needs to tame it. Blue, again, I'm pretty well sitting on a 0, but I don't think that Kooky's sitting on a great score either. Great entry from blue up there in the lead, and then S13, Kooky going to have to gather back up. Big angle, big angle. Oh, he's got 2 off of the grass. 1 off for blue as well. Both these guys maybe just letting the nerves get the best of them. Great transition from blue. That is the perk of running on sim steering, but getting caught on the rumble strip. Not what you want to see from either of these guys again.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. That's not a good showing. I've seen these guys run before in the past, and, you know, they can throw down. This is definitely a uncharacteristic battle for both of them, I'd like to say. But, you know, regardless, whoever advances from this battle in particular, they're going to have a lot to make up for here in the top 16 battle. Hopefully this can be just that one. You get the nerves out, and you have a much stronger showing going into your top 16 battle then.
Yeah, Ian, like it. Hate to see that, unfortunately, but you know, maybe even get OMT here. I wouldn't be surprised if they sent them OMT. There's not a lot to judge. You know, with both basically sitting on 0s, and then both as the follows. You know, I don't know. It's very, very hard to judge this when there's not a whole lot to judge.
Right.
Kooky, like we said, grabbing his 0 going into the keyhole. Unfortunately, just looked like he transitioned a little bit too early, and there's not a whole lot he could do. But blue, all over the place, really, you know, all over the place there in the lead position as well. Like, it's not a whole lot to do.
Keenan, it's like you've been in the scene for a while, and you know what they're thinking, because that is going to be just that. They're going to call one more time. Judges not happy with not really being able to score anything there. So both drivers getting a new lease on life. That is a stroke of luck for both of them, needless to say. Any other situation where somebody else didn't have an equal problem that was just as bad, they're done all day long. So both drivers taking the opportunity to reset. They're going to try this again.
All right, Kooky leading in that V8-powered RX-7. Giving chase is blue in the RB S13. Again, significant power disadvantage. So maybe that's why he was opting to run that wing. Maybe he just likes it. I don't know. But here we go. Let's see what they can do for real this time. Kooky going to be leading. Blue giving chase. Blue trying to get the jump on the lead. Risky play there.
It worked.
Yeah. Oh, maybe
it
not.
did it again.
Big miss of the transition there. Still keeping drift, but gaining ground on Kooky. Kooky going a little bit wide there as he cuts back in for that inner clip, but blue maintain decent amounts of proximity considering Kooky with an over rotation though, going to be dropping speed. Both these guys kind of just playing off of each other's mistakes. You know, other than that that first corner, not a bad run from blue. I didn't see a 0. But
he's
but
having
Kooky
some kind of technical issue on his end, because I could hear it again. You're not going to see it on the replay, unfortunately, but I was just hearing nothing but rev limiter and no tire spin for blue and chase again, going on I believe it's going to be like his 3rd to 2nd gear shift or whatever his transmission is set. Something is not working on his shifter or his clutch or something, but once again, fell out of gear, wasn't able to get in power. Didn't completely straighten out this time, though. He was not on power, but the car did not shut down, so he has that working for him. But again, a lot left to be desired for both of them on that battle.
Yeah, Ian, definitely leaving some leaving some points on the table there. I'm going to go focus on Kooky's lead run here while we have the time. Pushing a little bit wide as he goes up the hill here. You know, not looking too bad. My only really issue that I saw was maybe not getting all of that outer zone. He was there, but would like to see them hang the bumper off a little bit. And then obviously the over rotation there in the second to last corner, you could see him really have to scramble to gather that car back up. As looks like I think Blue is trying to fix whatever issue he has.
Perhaps just unplugging and replugging in the wheel at this point might help him out a little bit.
Yeah, saying he's resetting pedals, but unfortunately it isn't ESDA rules. If all of your equipment, whether your controller, your wheel, whatever, is not up to snuff, that is not, you know, you don't get redos for that like you used to be able to do back in the day. Oh, my wheel unplugged, let's get a redo. You know, people started taking advantage of that, of the kindness of other people's hearts. So you treat it like a real life technical issue. Oh yeah, it's gonna happen again here. Blue in the lead is going to have to just pick a gear and stick with it, which in a turbo car is not easy. Good entry from Blue. Was able to get back
some power.
Opening up a mile gap between him and Kooky right now, but 2 tires off. Again. Kooky right on the door. I'm speechless just because it's so unfortunate. Both these guys, you know, I've seen both of them drive as well. Oh, a little bit of contact there at the end. Kooky just getting gapped, maybe giving him room to be able to make that mistake. And then when it didn't happen, really was on the back foot, but Blue with 2 tires off. Definitely not helpful. Another driver out from the Oceania area as well. So, you know, I imagine having to deal with all of that at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it is over there.
Right. And you know what's really unfortunate for Blue in that situation as well is, yeah, he was having that clutch issue. Without that tire drop, there could have been a world where that was going to go into his advantage. That gap was substantial, Keenan. Like, that wasn't just a small gap. That was straight up table for 2 to Applebee's, as we've said in the past, and we'll say it again. You know, he was gone. But that tire drop was big in the lead. That's an unfortunate mistake. But again, how much
Gapple beers and Gapparitas.
Yeah, but how much can we attribute the tire drop to the fact that maybe couldn't drop it into a lower gear though at that point, right? Too much speed going up the hill, can't push in the clutch, maybe too much speed.
I don't know about that
you
one,
know?
Chief.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, Chief. Like, I maybe as a distraction, but I mean, your downshift doesn't really affect you there that much. And I mean, worst case scenario, you have a foot brake and an e-brake as well. That's really where you want to be killing your speed and then coasting. Obviously, you don't want to be, you know, too locked up in the rear end. But I don't know if missing a shift would cause that much issue.
So there it is. He was running that lead without a clutch.
Yep.
So
that didn't surprise me.
Yep. So he doesn't have that same muscle memory. He can't push in the clutch, use some handbrake to get up into the outer zone. Like, that can completely throw up your rhythm. As much practice as you get for these kind of things, it's 90%. You know, learning the track. No clutch, that's impressive. 90% of it is like, you know, learning the track, running it, using to the best of your ability, repetition. 10% of your run is that repetition, like knowing what you're doing, the same thing. Okay, downshift here, handbrake here, clutch here. You know, you suddenly have to, in the competition setting, run without a clutch. That messes up a big part of your fundamental in a run. That 90% can't be achieved without that 10% still being active, right? So
yeah, precisely.
So it's unfortunate, but that tire drop may be his downfall here. Now, I would imagine the judges are potentially talking inactive chase, potentially, for the gap being as large as it was. So we'll have to see. There's still plenty to talk about here. Judges have a lot to decipher with this battle. See what's going to happen. And that is going to be Kooky, 23-7. He will be advancing to the next round of competition.
Yeah, I mean, Blue looked like he had it figured out. We heard him struggle on the line, but he seemed like he had it figured out after that. Like you said, Ian, just muscle memory and like having things figured out and not quite being there on that outer zone. But unfortunately, that will be Blue bowing out of competition with TTL Kooky being carrying the flag for Team Top Line going forward. You know, going up against AOM Looney again, our number 2, technically our highest seeded driver in the event currently. Yep. Big shoes to fill for Kooky. As we move on, can't see Tom Speed. I almost said Top Speed.
Top Speed.
Kamikaze Nathan. Nathan, I believe, representing France. We used to have a bunch of French drifters used to come out for ESDA, so it's good to see them back here. Bonjour, mes amis. Comment ça va? Bonne journée.
Now, this isn't
got to see
the
some-
Nathan that we know, right? This isn't like a team change.
I don't know, man. I don't get the Forza newsletter anymore. Nobody emails me anything. I'm so alone. We're seeing him warm his tires up in the BMW. As Tom Speed going to be driving. Tom Speed usually, I believe, is a BRZ guy. But I guess coming out using the GTR, a lot like this round, really, you're seeing a lot of guys who take chassis and try to make them work. Really just going, nah, I'm just gonna drop by on what I can do. Tom Speed from Germany, I'm getting word as well. So this is all European battle.
Oh.
It's like that one time,
On a North American server. Let's go!
Yeah.
Ping
All right,
server, baby!
Tom's in the lead. Yeah, seen the German flag on the back. Tom Speed giving chase. Tom in the lead. Nathan giving chase. Going up the hill. Not quite the angle that Tom Speed's looking for, but Nathan gonna take a bit of a shallower line, be able to close some gap. Proximity is there, but not there, especially in the horseshoe. That is a great chance to be able to get on the door of your lead driver. Bit of a hiccup there from Nathan, as you can hear from the revs, and then Tom Speed really opening the gap up. That all these GTRs, say, Ian, look like they're just very, very gripped up and full of speed.
Must say, being somebody who has lived in Germany in the past, I always have a little bit of that pride when it comes to German stuff. Really loving that tasty flag on the deck with their Tom Speed. That looks really cool on the back end. But regardless, yeah, that GTR looked very sorry for himself. Nathan, he wasn't necessarily in the picture, but he wasn't out of the picture. So, end of the day, he did what he needed to do. He kept it in the picture through the entirety of the run. Could have been more aggressive, yes, but again, they're probably dealing with like a 200-ish ping back and forth from Europe to America, back to Europe. So it's a tough one. You got to be safe with that, and they did what they had to do there.
Yeah. Again, France versus Germany. The last time France went against Germany worked out pretty good for Germany. But Nathan going to be in the lead now. Vasile boys, let's see what he can do. Good proximity from Tom Speed, but charging a little early maybe. Nathan not quite having the pace that he's expecting. That BMW looking really good, but definitely lacking in the speed department as Tom Speed's really struggling to be able to keep his car drifting with all the grip and speed tuned into it. Not a bad run from Nathan at all. And actually, Ian, from Tom Speed's perspective, because of that speed difference, wasn't able to consistently be on the door. Not an intentional thing, but maybe just a difference in style, difference in tuning. Nothing for Nathan to be ashamed of, but Tom couldn't get that fluid follow run he was looking for either.
Yeah, I got to pull up that replay real quick so we can further delve into this battle. Replay on screen for everyone at home now. The proximity difference, I would like to say Tom Speed was a little closer in a couple of spots, but it wasn't necessarily consistent, as you said before. He wasn't able to keep it in one spot. He would charge, like right there in the keyhole, and then back up a little bit. The center charge again, and then back up on exit. So it's a very hard thing to gauge.
Maybe dropping frames here.
Potentially, yeah. It was like I am just slightly having some connection issues, but we're working through it. But
just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, doing his best to make the most of his situation, and not doing a half bad job actually. All things considered. Or are they going to award the consistency of chase, or are they going to award a more aggressive chase? Because definitely, it was a slightly different postal code that Tom Speed was working off of there. As far as proximity goes and chase, lead for lead though, it was pretty comparable for both. Nathan put down a pretty solid lead as well on his end of the battle as well. So judges have quite a bit to talk about on this one.
I know we've seen like 100 one more times already, but I would like to see these guys go again.
Yeah.
Nathan not quite having the proximity in chase, but nothing wrong. Didn't really do anything wrong. Just wasn't there. Same thing for the lead position. Nothing wrong with it. Just didn't quite have the speed and maybe the aggressive angle that we're looking for. Tom, is different. Very, very good, aggressive, exciting lead run. But the chase run, because of the speed difference, just couldn't really get comfortable in the attack. As I'm being, Chad is basically my source, my news source. Nathan is 13 years old, apparently. I don't know if that's true.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true. I don't believe... might just be a troll, so I'm not 100% sure. But, I mean, Ian, we've seen in this community before, a lot of the younger kids... I don't want to say kids, but a lot of the younger drivers that come out here, by the time they hit, 16, 17, are the guys that you see, winning a ton of events and coming out here being really, really strong. So the earlier the start, the better. It's almost like, real motorsport, where the sooner you get someone started, the sooner they get started, the more they can retain, the more information they can process. So
Preston was ESDA champion 15-16, right?
yeah, pretty young.
Yeah, no, but they have figured it out. And KNC Tom Speed, by the way, will be given the win. He'll be winning 18-12 in this situation.
Pretty close, but I mean, the chase was a bit stronger from Tom, and I did like his lead a little bit more. Not that there was anything wrong with Nathan's lead, he just didn't give me a wow. There was no like really aggressive outer zone. Didn't really have like a ton of angle. Tom had a lot of angle in that outer zone. So, I mean, nothing for Nathan to be ashamed of. I know it's not like a 3 OMT war like we've been seeing, but that battle was a lot closer than you guys think.
Yeah, no, that definitely came down to a couple of finite decisions, and it really just came down to, at that point, preference as far as, what judges were looking for. I like to think, the lead's comparable, maybe a little bit more, as you were saying, style leaning towards Tom Speed's favor. But again, while Tom Speed's chase may not have been as consistent, he was still getting closer in many different spots. So definitely going to be playing to his favor. As the next battle then on screen, KNC JD versus TDR SR20. I know you like seeing that sticker on the back of SR20. SR20 representing the Hot Boys.
Oh, is he?
In chase. Oh, absolutely he is. Out there in the lead position. And it's funny as well because
beef. I was busy.
TDR SR20... I remember the first time that I watched him compete was actually an old outrun way back in, wasn't Lime Rock, I think? It was a while ago where I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was at the time, and then he shut my mouth immediately, going toe to toe with some of the best that we had out there. Because Lime Rock
happens a lot, doesn't it?
It happens a lot. It really does. And Lime Rock, and to do well in that pedigree of Lime Rock, which we were saying oh my God, our top 16 is like a top 16 of the current ESDA pros. That was that kind of quality. And you got a driver who can go toe to toe with that kind of quality. He's usually got something to show for. KNC JD as well in the scene for a long time. He was in the team tandem competition as well earlier with KNC. They did very well. Another very close battle. This is going to come down to who is on their game right now in this moment. I don't think there's anything between these two right now.
Is anyone going to tell him that the KNC Motorsports in the back of his BMW is crooked, or is that going to be me that has to tell him?
I can find
Boys, do we let him know, or
do we need to get the phone number of their painter or something? I'll call him, man.
JD, both these guys very strong. I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were the same person for a long time. But should be a pretty tight matchup here. Both in cars that I think they're not as familiar with. Again, done weird chassis choices of the drivers for today, but JD going to be leaving SR20, giving chase in the conflicting entries there. JD won in the dirt, and then SR20 just going a little bit too soon. JD getting all of that outer zone as SR20 is trying to catch up. Not sure what this will be for in terms of points. Moving into the second half of the course, almost spinning there was SR20 with a little bit of a wiggle waggle.
Man, I don't know if SR20 is just having a hard time getting that thing to settle down, or if he is experiencing some lag issues right now. But that car definitely wasn't sorted throughout the battle up in the chase position, at least. I'm having some issues on my side right now. Hang on one second. Okay, we'll just go ahead and send run 2 here, and then we'll go back to the side-by-side replays. But yeah, as I said before, SR20 wasn't really ever sorted, and it was unfortunate to see. But, it's not over yet. He can do some pretty impressive stuff in the lead. Those Mustangs, they're style monsters. We'll see what he can do.
All right, TDR, SR20 representing Team Drift Royals, and then Killin' and Chillin' JD right behind him. Ian calling a shot there. SR20 really put up in the lead position. What a flick from SR20, but JD right there with him, putting the tire into the front fender of that Mustang. Moving into the second half of the course here, that big V10 BMW needed to put the power down. The SR20 again, very aggressive flick. Don't know if that's enough to make up the deficit, but that was so fun to watch.
As my technical gremlins have come and bit me in the butt, I'm going to need a clip in chat.
On it, Chief.
You can give me a clip, that'd be appreciated. I'll get up run number 1 up as we speak. I'm pretty sure that's when they're going to want to see anyways, but my replay is not working right now with the recording.
Gotta listen to myself talk. Don't like that.
Okay, so for the time being, run number 1 is up on the screen for you guys to talk about, because I'm pretty sure this is the one the judges want to talk about the most. Run number 2, solid. That was a beautiful drive. Lots of very close and heavy competition there in that one. But yeah, unfortunately, I need to potentially reset my OBS or something. Something is not going right now. So I do apologize to the judges. If they need that second run, let me know.
I'm clipping it as we speak. It's just, whatchamacallit, publishing. Got it. We wear many hats over here at ESDA. I was maybe a bit could have chose a bit better of a title.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, listen. I don't get this keyboard smash a lot, so when I get the opportunity, I go for it, okay? So I'll post that up in the but you beat me to it.
Oh. There's a decision already. KNCJD 26-4 will be advancing to the next round.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're sitting on that 0 from that first run. Can't really blame him too much. Only being able to get 4, yeah, tire drops galore there on that first run. Thought it was going to, again, a lot of these scores are a little bit skewed, I think, almost. Like, obviously that was a 0 on that, was incomplete rather, on that first run for SR20, but like it's very just got dumpstered in terms of score. I thought it was a lot closer, especially with that lead run. Very aggressive flicks and fun to watch. But JD is going to be getting your overall win there. Moving on.
I do need to reset OBS real quick, though, before we go too much farther. So don't go anywhere, chat. This is a very, very quick reset. It's going to be all but 10, 15 seconds. We'll be right back. Competition will be back.